Spoilers of the Damned.
Hello and welcome to episode 27 of Spoilers of the Damned.
So many.
We are talking today about John Carpenter's The Fog. This is your very early spoiler warning, kind of like a foghorn, I guess. You know,
it's about fog.
Yeah.
Just so you're not misty on the topic, you can watch it before we talk about it. Go forward, full steam ahead, and watch the movie.
I will hasten to add, because it provides some well-needed context. Both Chris and myself have very recently woken up, and added to that, my painkillers are starting to kick in, so this is a party now. Grab your preferred beverage, which we're no longer going to try and get sponsored by, and enjoy.
Why are there 7 of you? That's what I expect to hear this in person.
Only 3 people in this podcast.
Yes, the rest are constructed from fog.
So what you
Hidden
could say
miss
is
ninja
because,
jutsu.
the thing is, what you could say is because you're both so tired, you could say that your brain's a little foggy.
There's that one.
I'll kill myself here.
Yeah.
And thank you, I will be leaning on that for the next 2 hours.
Anyway, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Join us next time when not another pun will be missed.
Oh. He did the thing.
I'm going to be sick.
Nice.
Well, yeah. Welcome, everybody, to the podcast. Gentlemen, have you been up to anything horrific lately?
I'll let you go, Chris.
Oh, really? Shit.
That is the horror.
That is the horror. The deepest horror is uncertainty.
I can start us off.
Go ahead,
with
that'd be
something
great.
completely unrelated to horror.
Fantastic.
Oh, do it.
I've basically spent the last 2 years of my the last 2 years. Wow, it feels like it. The last 2 weeks of my existence, pretty much obsessively consuming Yu-Gi-Oh episodes.
That is
The
I
horror.
watch it at my lunch break in work. Sometimes, and I don't tell the DVLA, although I guess they don't really deal with it. Sometimes I have it on while I'm driving, but I don't look at it, I promise. I just listen to it, because, let's face it, with Yu-Gi-Oh! You can do that.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's better to do that, because the animation is...
Shit.
Is bad.
Yeah, but it's really good, and I'm basically enjoying the whole kind of... stupid monsters followed by stupid amount of kind of like one-upmanship going, haha, I knew you'd do that, so I do this. Aha, but that activated my trap card.
Yep.
Aha, I have a double trap card. And then,
They play nothing but trap cards.
The one that isn't the goodie loses and cries, and the goodies carry on.
Yep.
So,
Because you listen to the Heart of the Cards or something like that, right?
exactly.
Yeah, I've never seen an episode, but SGF, when he was playing the Resident Evil 7 card game thing where you like play blackjack with Lucas.
Oh, don't remind me.
He was talking about how like if he listened to the Heart of the Cards, he would win against Lucas, and I was like, what is that shit? Oh, it's Yu-Gi-Oh! Right? Okay.
It's basically if you play with anger and like fear in your heart, you can never win.
You can
never win.
It's like cards you didn't have in your deck are now there, and they're also worse than the cards you thought you had, so you're definitely gonna lose.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and quite often it's funny because I know already with a very, very bare surface level knowledge of Yu-Gi-Oh! That quite a lot of what's happened already is contradicting to the rules.
Yeah, probably.
Kind of like Pokemon.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, suddenly a Charizard can beat a Blastoise because, he's won the love of his Pokemon.
Yeah.
They're loyal.
They're the bestest
They
of
can
friends.
overcome, huge stat boundaries that can't be golfed any other way other than believing. So
Well, as a counter to that, 7 or 8 years ago, maybe like 9, 10 years ago, a long time ago, I was playing Pokemon.
this is going back, but okay.
Yeah. I was playing Pokemon, and I had a small group of friends at work and outside of work who were also like playing Pokemon. So I came up with this great idea of like, let's all get together, get drunk, have a Pokemon tournament on Pokemon Stadium with the GameCube on a big screen with like brackets and everything. Because there's like 7 or 8 of us, so it was enough to have a small tournament and like order pizza and hang out and be fucking awesome. And it was great. Like short story.
That is an awesome thing to do.
Yeah,
That
it
is
was
cool.
fantastic.
And I'm not even taking the piss when I say that. This is like 20-year-old me and 30-year-old me are both inside going, yeah, that sounds cool.
That is really cool.
Right. The cool thing was though that we gave ourselves 2 months to prepare. 2 months to prepare a team of 6 to go against like an all-out, drag-out fight against each other. And what I did was I pumped my Pokemon full of drugs. What I mean by that is like the iron, the calcium, the vitamins, basically. I like to say drugs because it makes me sound fierce, but I meant more like, the nice little calciums and vitamins and things you can get. So, and I'm not going to go through the whole explanation, but do you guys know what effort values are?
No.
Basically,
Yeah.
Essentially, like are they kind of to do with LVs?
Yeah.
Basically, some Pokemon are born better than others.
Oh, that's IVs.
Genetics means that only certain Pokemon can be kept and trained.
Right,
The others
or
can
should be
junked.
kept and trained. I mean, you can keep any of them, but only ones with certain stats should be kept and trained. I ignored the majority of that. I did breed a lot, but I didn't get the perfect ones because I didn't think anybody else was doing this at all. So I was still going to have an edge. I did that, and effort values is what the game does to make it feel like when you play with a certain Pokemon enough, they're stronger than the other Pokemon of its type. Because every time you knock out a Pokemon with the Pokemon that you're using to fight, he gets an effort value of a certain number depending on what you fought. For example, Zubats will give you 3 effort values of speed whenever you defeat one. When you get 10 effort values, you gain a whole point in speed for the Pokemon who defeated those Zubats. So if you went to the Zubat cave and you wanted a fast Pokemon and just had him fight nothing but Zubats, you could get like an extra 150 points in speed on your Pokemon stats by level 50 or level 100 or something like that. Just like a general idea. So like there was in place a method in the game to best friend your Pokemon to strength. And in the tournament that I went to, it worked because I would use things that weren't supposed to win. For example, I would hit a steel type Pokemon with a move that's not like strong versus steel, but since the strength of my Pokemon was so high, it would still nearly obliterate them. So it was like, there is a place in the game for like a love and affection relationship to make it so that they're stronger than they're supposed to be. And I always thought that was kind of cool. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's neat because that is actually like a mechanic based on, sort of like love and experience and stuff. Like, as far as I'm aware, Yu-Gi-Oh! Literally doesn't have that. It's complete bullshit.
No. Yu-Gi-Oh! I can't imagine. Like, I played the PS3 game that came out, and I actually do like the game system for Yu-Gi-Oh! It's just a shame that, like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Artistically is aimed towards a younger audience, and it makes you feel like an asshole if you're playing it in your 30s and 40s. So, like, I could be playing Magic.
I've got some cards in a tin from years and years and years ago somewhere in the shed.
Yeah.
I've never actually physically played a game of Yu-Gi-Oh! But,
Me neither.
maybe I'll get to that point.
Well, play the PS3 game or something like that is actually kind of fun. The rules are not just simple, like, I'm going to play this card and this one will win because it's blue or something like that. It's a lot more complicated than that, and it's actually pretty good. Only problem is if you play the video games, you don't have really any control over your deck, so chances are you're going to have to lose a lot against the computer, which is no fun, until you get enough points or you finally get that one win and you get a new card that might help you win more in the future, and it's like a real grind, so I stopped playing that crap.
Yeah, I did enjoy the Pokemon trading card game on Game Boy. That was really good.
Yeah,
I enjoyed that a lot. Yeah, it's I've not played a single. No, tell a lie. I think maybe at school once I did actually play a proper Pokemon card match, but I played the Game Boy Color game like to completion. It was great. I really enjoyed the system. So one of those things that they never really took any further.
Yeah.
In terms of like making more games. I know they're still like making Yu-Gi-Oh games.
Yeah.
Well, I think with the Game Boy card game for Pokemon, the rules were different. Like, the types were effective against types that aren't supposed to be. And, because, like, a friend of mine was talking about it some time ago, where it was, like, fire was strong versus something that was, like water. Something it wasn't supposed to be strong against. I don't remember specifically anymore. And I think that might be one of the reasons why they just kind of stopped, because that was, like a wild tangent that they sort of let develop too far. And then they're just like, okay, we're not going to do that anymore, because that's not going to be consistent with the rest of the things that we're doing. Maybe. That's just a guess. That's just a guess. I don't know.
Well, I think the strength of games like Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that everyone in it isn't really an all-rounder. They have a kind of like a theme or like a collection of kind of styles. So I'm a fire trainer.
Yeah.
Well, prepared to get decimated by 2 types at least.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
But you're the kind of the multi kind of like tasker who has, you know, a fire Pokemon, a water Pokemon, a flying Pokemon, whatever. And, you know, so the second you bring it into like real life, it's kind of scary because suddenly you're all playing with like, you know, multiple kinds of Pokemon and stuff.
It was actually.
But I mean, sorry, you go.
Okay, it was actually like. The well-rounded team thing works kinda, but like what I would do is I would have like a really strong fire sweeper, because fire has a tendency to have a higher special attack stat than most others. And I think I used a Magmar, Magby, Magmortar. Magmortar was the level 3 evolution, and like it would kill things that were like, I think rock is resistant to fire. Anyway, things that are resistant to fire, his special attack was still so much higher that he would still one-shot them, and it would say it's not very effective. Which I thought was always funny. It's like, it said it's not very effective, but it killed him. It didn't knock him out. It actually set him on fire to death. Like, so you wouldn't really need to have other, like, types so much. I always still went with, like, rock and fire and dark. Like, those were my 3, like, core types. And then I was fighting somebody who beat me in the second tournament because he would use types, but then he would use different moves from other types with those types. So you just really never knew what you were going to get hit with.
Yeah, that's what I tend to do is get, you know, kind of like a Pokemon that has like those weird crossover, like a Venn diagram of 2 different types. Like, say, like Dragon Pokemon and stuff, they can do like some electric attacks, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Dragon type.
Fucking Earthquake pisses me off to no end. Like, most of my Pokemon for defense are Steel, like Metagross, Steel Psychic. I like that. I love Steel types. So it's like, oh, here's a thing that's like weak to Steel. I'll just kill it with a Steel type move or something. Earthquake. No, Ground is really strong versus Steel. It's fucking stupid strong versus Steel. And there you go. My defensive Pokemon just gets wiped out. It's like, but why does something like, I don't know, like Skarmory have Earthquake or something? That's just an example. I'm not saying Skarmory has Earthquakes. Like, please comment if you think otherwise. But, you know, I'm not trying to say that I have encyclopedic knowledge of Pokemon anymore.
Well, I don't know most of the I do know most of the things that you just said, but
you know most of the things I just said.
I'm a Gen 1 until I die. I literally do not acknowledge Steel's not a type because it wasn't in the first game.
Oh, Steel's the best type. I love Steel. I mean, Dragon's the best type, but, you know, Steel's, like, my favorite
Steel's
type.
pretty good.
Yeah, Steel's
I know they exist, I pretend they don't. I stopped playing Pokemon Go once they started introducing Gen 2.
Jesus, dude. Why the hate?
I was like, fuck this shit.
Why?
Because Pokemon is a thing that lives inside my head from 1998 when I was a kid, and that's, you know, I know there's been shit since, but I've even played some of them. I played Gold and Silver. I played, you know, some of Pokemon. Was it Black and White, the ones, or
Yes.
was it X and Y? No, it was 3DS, so it must have been X or Y. I played some of that, and it was okay. But I was like, who's this and who's that, and you don't exist.
One of these things. You're not
Yeah.
one.
I'm a fuddy-duddy Pokemon player, basically.
My thing was, when I got to the point of the game where a set of keys was a Pokemon, I was like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And like an ice cream.
Yeah.
And it's like, fuck off.
Yeah, but that ice cream has the highest ice-type special attack in the game.
See, like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Had no pretense about this. Like, at the very start, it's got, like, Flaming Sword Magician and, like, Time Wizard.
Yeah.
And all this other batshit stuff.
Time.
Yeah. And Dark Magic Girl, you know, for reasons. Like, you know, that's, you know why you have that card in your deck. Stop acting. She's cute. She's got boobs. So, that is...
How about you, Matt? What have you been up to this week?
Full
Not
circle,
Pokemon.
bitch.
Or Yu-Gi-Oh! or anything that involves cards. Oh wait, or do I? Maybe. No, I finished watching Twin Peaks: The Return again today, actually.
How did
Is
you
that
feel
what they
about
call
the
the
second
third
time
season?
Yeah,
Is
the
it?
third
Okay.
season. It's better the second time round, actually. and it does benefit from being binge watched, which makes sense because it's supposed to be like an 18-hour movie or something.
Yeah.
I still don't particularly like most of the final episode because I just don't like the implications of what happens at the very end of the episode before it, which we talked about before.
Yeah, what it means for the story world of Twin Peaks.
Yeah,
I
I just don't. Yeah. I don't like it when shows do that unless something like that has already been established previously, like right at the beginning or partway through the original. But yeah, that was good. It was still really creepy in areas and confusing in others, and head-scratchingly annoying in others.
That ending though is like dark as midnight for me. I still remember how it made me feel.
No, it's really fucking creepy. Still got the same feeling. So yeah, we finished watching that, and then we were in town yesterday in CEX, which is just like a store that has lots of pre-owned games and DVDs and stuff for quite cheap. It's like a big chain in England.
And phones.
And phones.
Computers. They'll take anything.
Oh, yeah, the one we went to yesterday had a N64 and a Mega Drive as well, which is weird.
Yeah, they've started taking in older stuff more recently, actually.
I think they're cottoning on to the fact that retro gaming's becoming like a more prevalent thing and people want to collect more. So we went in there and despite playing it before, but I had to sell it because for reasons I had to get that money and shit like this years ago. Picked up Silent Hill Homecoming again because I thought I'll give it another go because it might be fun. So we played the first little bit of it yesterday when we got to the graveyard, and we turned off because I think we were having dinner or we were going to watch Twin Peaks actually. But yeah, I still think it looks good in a lot of places.
I think it has redeeming qualities.
The combat. We were talking last night, and I turned to my girlfriend and said, "Can you see why I don't like the combat now?" And she just she nodded and said, "Yeah." I said, "It's just when I'm fighting certain enemies, it feels like I'm playing Streets of Rage."
I'm pretty sure you can kill everything in that game with a knife.
Yeah,
if I remember correctly.
Yeah, the knife is the best weapon in the game.
Yeah, it's obscenely quick.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it is. Like, the quickness makes the hit stun more rapid, and that way you can control the fight better than even if you could use a weapon with more strength or more damage to it, which you could hit with once, but then you'd probably end up opening yourself up for more attacks, which is just what makes it bad. So
exactly. It's like the knife, because you go quick, heavy, and they go quick, heavy, and they can't react. It's like that bit right at the beginning, the nightmare when you drop down. There's 3 nurses like, oh no. Getting a conga line, quick, heavy, quick, heavy, dead, quick, heavy, quick, heavy, dead, and so forth. I did force myself yesterday to start using the lead pipe, just because I wanted to force myself I actually wanted to challenge myself. And I just, and again, I shouldn't be looking forward to fighting enemies. Like, in the originals, true. Even using the melee weapons because we're back at mine, because obviously I'm in Reading at the moment at my girlfriend's, but when she comes to mine in Essex, we've been playing through Silent Hill 2, that's like I said a couple of times, and we're right near the ending now, and even in that, like, using a melee weapon is so dangerous, and you have to be so careful, because if you miss, then it just, like you were saying, it opens you up to attack. Even the quickest weapon, which is the plank of wood with the nails in it. You know, so, I shouldn't be looking forward to fighting enemies because I'm laughing as... Yesterday I knocked one to the ground and then went to just do a quick attack, and instead he just, like, bonked it on the head with the lead pipe. It's like, that's just nasty. That's cruel. Yeah. It can't even stand up.
I need to go back to Homecoming because my overwhelming memory, I can't even remember any other weapons. I just remember doing that in, like, knife ballet, just like swish, 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 swish.
I'm forcing myself to... use the pipe, but I still think it looks very good.
I remember I was really excited when I saw the trailer. I'm not sure if the forum was still up at that time, but I remember talking about it with some people from the forum, thinking, like, when you see the wheelchair spinning in the corner as main character name goes upstairs, you know, and you're like, oh wow, they could do Alex
or Adam or something.
Alex. Like, you're really expecting, like, to see some real good effects, because, like, the PS2 versions go beyond the bar even today for what the PS2 can do with some really great effects. So you're like, oh, this is going to be killer. And then it turns out it's like somebody watched the movie once and they made a game on that.
It looks it looks too much like the movie in places. Like the nurses look like the nurses from the movie. Pyramid Head, who has no purpose in the game.
Yeah, like I would
it
forgive the
looks
nurses. I just don't forgive the cult members and
Yeah.
that kind of thing, and the Shepherd's Glen side town story of like we sacrificed to Silent Hill to keep our town safe. It's like no, yeah, move one, two. No, that's not how Silent Hill ever worked. So why is this even a thing?
No, and also I realised when I looked at the map yesterday, Toluca Lake is right there.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to, like, we don't want to be part of the cult anymore, so we're just going to move just next door.
Yeah.
I'd be pissed off as well. Be like, so not only are you leaving us, but you're moving basically next door just to taunt us at this point. Like,
Yeah.
Fuck you. Kill your kids, please. Oh, all right.
All right.
Okay.
I'll just have more than one.
Also,
I just love it. It's one of those kind of like psychological thriller film twists where they kind of go, you know, like I say shoot him, save her, and then like they shoot her and they go ha 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 ha, you know, and you've got to live with this guy who, you know, you chose to kill, and it's like your dad like literally decided.
he's like, all right, I'll drown my kid.
You live, you die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, thanks to a YouTuber called Phalus, and his review of it.
Phalus.
Thanks to him, whenever I see Adam Shepard, the father, because he makes a joke in his review that he looks like John Locke from Lost, and every time he shows a clip of Adam, he superimposes audio footage from Lost of John Locke. You can't walk away from me. I'm like, oh, and I saw him yesterday, and it's sort of like a creepy scene. I'm like, oh, he does look like John Locke.
That's really fun. He also looks like my neighbour, so like for me on a personal level, he looks a lot like my neighbour.
You just only like, don't drown your children, you're a freak. But besides like the many problems with it, I do still like parts of it. I like the fact that the exploration's still fun. And there's a surprising amount of little things to find. Like there's little journal entries, and you can like, it feels like you can investigate everything, and Alex will always say something. And I like that, and I miss that in a lot of horror games in particular. Like when my playthrough of The Evil Within 2, there was not enough moments where I could really like it didn't feel like I could really explore and like look at things, and even when there were journal entries, they were really boring. Everyone was talking about like, and so we are doing more tests on the environment to see if the Matrix will withhold the brains of everyone. Like, boring, don't care. Give me some creepy stuff of people like, I've seen them again, and like,
give me itchy tasty.
Yeah, give me itchy tasty. Give me talking about like really weird things like patients acting mental.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So it's good. I still think it's. I think. I mean, obviously it's a Western developed one, so you know it's better than Origins, which is just shit.
Was it the first one, or was Origins the first one? I can't remember which order they come in.
I think Origins was the first one because it was on PSP.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense.
And PS2 eventually. I
Yeah.
still liked Origins. There are some good. I'm not trying to go into a discussion of which one's better and which one's not. That's a big old rabbit hole trap. But I mean, I think Origins. I honestly, just for like real quick, I honestly felt that Origins was better than Homecoming in a lot of ways, in ambience, in environment, and investigation. The combat was, I think, better for Silent Hill than Homecoming was for Silent Hill. Though Homecoming was probably more fun to play because, like you said, you look forward to enemies. Whereas in Origins, I got really used to going without the flashlight so that I could avoid everything because I was like, I only have so many TVs in my pocket. I don't really want to.
I love that.
I don't really want to waste them.
I love it.
I remember more from Origins. I remember set pieces like the motel where you look through and you see kind of like, I think it's Kaufman and it might be Lisa, it might be
Lisa.
not. But like I can remember bits like that from Homecoming. I literally just remember the ending, the bit where like his dad, my neighbor, gets like eviscerated.
Yeah,
and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Or the boss fights.
Dies.
The boss fights in Homecoming were pretty spectacular, though. Like,
they were pretty cool. Yeah.
That doll thing, the mannequin.
The doll, sorry.
Oh, I remember the doll thing. Yeah.
Oh, that's so creepy.
Yeah, like with all the red and stuff.
Revelations, didn't they?
Sorta. Yeah, they tried to.
There's kind of like a doll monster thing in that as well.
Like, hey, what if it's a spider and it like holds up a head and it goes? Whoa. No, it's not scary. Stop it. Please stop it. You're not scary. I shouldn't sit there looking at clips and go, that's lame. I should be laughing at a Silent Hill game, you know?
Right.
Unless it's laughing at a character looking like John Locke.
It has intrinsic comedy value to begin with because it's got Jon Snow in it, and
Ned Stark.
it's got Sean Bean,
Who
Ned
dies
Stark,
in it?
doing his like worst American accent ever.
My God, you're my daughter. It does, to be fair.
I can't even remember what his wife's called. What was his wife called?
Rose!
Rose, that's it, yeah. Rose.
But to be fair,
really, really unconvincing.
at least that way, because he's Harry Mason and that, it does make it still, his voice sound really weird and distorted, you know, really weird and weird. It's just crap. Like, that good old Harry Mason. Have you seen a little girl?
Going for authenticity in terms of, like, quality, I guess.
Yeah.
One of my favourite lines in that for some reason is, "Who was that? Who in the world was that?" Like, why are you saying it like that, Harry? I'm like, who was that crazy bitch? I suppose it could be worse. It could be Alex in Homecoming who just swears like, "You gotta be shitting me," because I was in the military and
You
everyone
can tell the
swears.
Western people wrote it because they put the swears in it.
Oh, you can also tell because it's
I
full
always
of
remember.
cutscenes.
You guys know Alone in the Dark, right? The remake, the reboot slash 2007, 2008, I guess. The one where he wears ham on his coat when he gets hurt. I can't remember who said that. It might have been Jim Sterling, but ever since they said it, I can't not see
Oh no,
it.
I think it might have been Pro Jared as well. Pro Jared might.
Oh, okay.
I think he said that.
Well,
But then a lot of them have
okay.
said it.
Yeah, it looks like he's got ham on his coat.
And then you
But,
kill yourself and it disappears.
I was kind of excited for that game at the time, and so I was watching all these kind of featurettes because on Xbox they had these featurettes you could download. So,
Oh God, yeah, I remember that.
yeah, so I was watching it, and they were saying like we've hired an authentic screenwriter, like an authentic Brooklyn dialogue screenwriter, and I remember laughing at the time because that literally translates to just putting fuck in like every third word needs to be fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the light bringer. I'm the fucking universe.
That game is the absolute. It's arse.
Yeah,
Just
but
dangly
it
bit.
applies to all of these games, like Homecoming. It basically, yeah. If it's Westerners, they put swear words in because they think that adds gravitas, I guess, or like effect
It's like,
to the words. When
I can relate to this guy. I swear that.
yeah, exactly.
I mean, it also like I love the fact that the character in that Alone in the Dark is supposed to be the same Edward Carnby from the original, who was like a short, pudgy ginger man.
Yeah,
It's like he's got a shit moustache, ginger hair, kind of pudgy. And it's like, yeah, you're this guy who kind of looks more like Native American.
yeah. And
His jet black
this was
hair.
the point in games where they were starting to try and do, like, they were trying to emulate television, basically, because television was really
God,
taking off.
yeah.
So they
gameplay.
divided it into chapters, which are kind of like episodes.
Oh, yeah.
They would have recaps and cliffhangers and everything. And I just remember the end of the first or the second chapter, he kind of goes like, "I'm fucking like literally." He probably paraphrased because there was probably more swearing than this, but he
Yeah.
essentially kind of goes, "I'm fucking 100 years old."
Dun-dun-dun-dun.
Like, dun-dun-dun-dun. Next time on Alone in the Dark.
Like, whoa, what's
More
going on?
ham.
And also, that was it. They didn't even say that. They were there was a big thing on the back of the box where it was like, the game plays like a DVD where you can skip scenes. Why would you want to do that? It's like, I'm just
Go
gonna
team.
make the game really confusing for myself and skip to the end. What the hell's going on?
Yeah, that is
Stupid.
awkward. That is awkward.
Stupid people. You're stupid, Atari. You're stupid. I hope you cease to exist.
Wow, Matt. Simmer down, buddy.
Stupid.
Simmer down.
Why would they think that's gonna? How about we have a game where you can
Atari
just
have
skip it
literally
all?
tried to do that like twice or three times, though, haven't they? Cease to exist.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. They've
Run
actively
themselves out of
tried.
business.
Yeah.
It's like they can't kill themselves. So it's, it's like the Highlander.
Like,
someone else
please
has to
forget
decapitate
us, please. Oh
him.
man.
I can't kill myself. I am eternal. At least our logo was in Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah, that's pretty
Because
cool.
we're alive in that universe.
Yeah, like I mean, that's a pretty legit thing to claim. Like, hey, we're in a cool movie, at least, sorta. Our logo was anyway.
That's the good timeline for us.
Yeah,
That's when we didn't suck. Fuck Nintendo. Crying into the Atari jacket. I don't know what am I talking about anymore.
Yeah, well,
Something about Homecoming.
speaking
Yeah,
of
Homecoming. Okay.
speaking of like absolute crushing despair. Like, I mean, I have been like racking my brain for something to talk about specifically from me, but I've got something here. Do either of you play For Honor? Have you heard of it? You know what that is?
I've heard of it. I haven't played it.
I've never played it.
Kind of surprised you don't play it, Matt, because it is kind of like, you know, like LARPy with its combat. But
yeah, I had my eyes on it.
It is fun though. I do enjoy it, and I've been enjoying it all this month. Just on a lark, like, hey, I'm just gonna play this now, and even though I quit it like 6-7 months ago, I just put it back in and just wanted to see how it was going, and I was having a good time. The problem was that I've gotten to a point where my character's level, not my character, but my account's level has enough experience and playtime on it that I now have to match with other people of similar types, so that the games are balanced, you know. And the way they do that is that with your character, whichever one you chose, it levels from 1 to 20. After 20, you get a laurel, like those little olive wreath things you wear on your head, and then you get one laurel, and then you go back to level 1 reputation again, and then it goes to 20, and then you get 2 laurels, and so on and so forth. Your account has a number of laurels equal to the number of laurels you've won for all characters in the game. So right now I have a 12 laurel account, because some characters I have 1 or 2 laurels, and it adds up to 12. So I've been playing, and like the last 2 weeks, I've just been sucking ass really hard, like with just absolute reckless abandon. I show up and I kill other people's targets because they're not looking at me, but as soon as they look at me, it's like, oh shit, because I cannot block. And the way you block in the game, you use your right analog stick to block left or right or up, and that's it.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And it's very simple, you know. So when you get hit anyway, it's crushing on your soul, because it's like it's not that the game is bad, it's that I'm fucking stupid because I didn't block up. And you get plenty of alert. You get like this red triangle thing that lights up in the direction you should block. So they're like, hey, block high, and I'm like, ah, and I'm not blocking high, and I get hit. Then I get hit again, and I get crushed. There's a class called the Aramusha who uses 2 swords like Leonardo from Ninja Turtles.
Oh, nice.
And when you use light attacks with that character, you can chain it infinitely until you run out of stamina, and from any direction. Left, up, right, left, up, right. And it's all light damage, but you can just go in a circle and mix it up on somebody. So if I'm trying to block any of that, I'm like, left, got hit in the right, damn it, right, got hit on the left, damn it, up, fuck. And I get destroyed. The point is, though, I was getting destroyed so bad that I was like, I've just got to get good. I've got to just, like, head to the wall, get good, like in a fighting game. So instead of doing these battles, I was doing duels, fighting one person at a time, and watching what's going on and reacting and learning to refine my reflexes and that kind of thing, and learn the game a little bit better. I fought this guy.
I'm imagining it in the form of a montage, just so you know.
Oh, it was a terrible montage, or it will be.
Kind of like an 80s style montage. You're kind of there with, you know, sweatbands. And you're like in rocky music in the background.
Yeah, this is exactly like that, except for like the first like quarter of the montage where he's like really weak and getting his butt kicked, and he hasn't learned how to win yet. Only that's the entire montage. So
doesn't learn.
Yeah. The music is still, we need a montage, you know. And I'm just getting
that's not so much a
pummeled
montage. It's just
pummeled.
having some 80s music on in the background while you
watch some snuff porn,
suck.
basically, because it's awful. It's awful. So I fought this guy, right? And I don't know if it was a guy, but his character is male, and you can choose male and female characters, so whatever. I fought this guy, and he's playing a character named the Kensei, and the Kensei is like a long Nodachi sword wielding like feudal lord. You know, very ornate armor, really long sword. Think Sephiroth, but like with like 3 feet of the sword cut off, but still really fucking long. And I charge in with my warlord, who's like a round shield and sword using like Viking warlord. I'm running in there, like, attack, and he dodges and hits me. I'm like, damn it. And I attack, and he dodges and hits me. I'm like, damn it. And then I'm like, block, and he like fakes me out, because you can use a heavy attack, cancel the heavy attack, so you just basically like, pump your arms forward, but you don't go with the full swing, and then go from a different direction. So I'm like blocking the direction he pump faked, and then he hits me in the direction I'm not blocking. Damn it. And then he kills me. And then it's like, all right, round 2, run forward, attack. long story short, he kills me. He has not taken a hit from me yet. So I am just demoralized right now. I'm like, fuck. Round 3, attack. He gets me to about half health, and I back off, and I'm using the emote button to just like hit my knees and go, why? My character literally just gets on his knees and screams to the sky. And the Kensei doesn't miss a beat. I expected him to kill me because I'm on my knees, and that's a poetic way to kill somebody. So I was just going to like, well, that's the one thing I'll have control over. I will do that, and it'll at least look cool instead of me just like flailing my arms like a baby and then getting cut down. So I get on my knees, I'm screaming why. He runs up to me and emotes right in my face with like a, hey, how's it going kind of thing, whatever the emote was. And I'm like, okay, fine, I'll do it again.
I'm imagining this in the form of emojis. Just
Big smiley face. Hello.
Yeah. I mean, he puts like his arms out and he's like, oh, what about me? I'm so cool or something. I don't remember what his emote really looks like or what he used. So I was like, all right, fine, I'll get on my knees and do it again because the emote animation finished up. So I started it again, and then I started it again. Then I started it again, and we emoted at each other for like a solid minute. And I'm like, he's not going to kill me. He's not going to kill me. Oh my god, he's not going to kill me. I'm still going to have to fight this guy. I can't even admit defeat or surrender. The fight still continues. So I'm like, I stand up and I stare at him, and he stares at me, and I'm like, fuck it, light attack. Try to hit him now. And he lets me hit him. I know he lets me hit him because he didn't move at all. So I'm like, smack. Okay, cool. Smack. He's still not moving. Grab, throw, run over, hit, smack, smack. And then he just kills me when he's ready.
Oh my god.
Because, like, I mean, he and it was obvious because he just did, like, the perfect parry and followed with a heavy and then an execution. And he was just giving me the moment, like, here, hit me a couple times. It's okay. It's all right. You know, maybe you'll get better later, but you're just not going to win at all. And, like, that complete domination, like, he had full control over the match at all times, all 3 rounds, was so demoralizing.
Yeah, I bet it was.
I was just like... I mean, I was looking at my controller, like, what am I doing? I'm not.
Why do I do this to myself?
It's not just what am I doing, like, but also like, how am I not doing the game? How am I not playing the game at all? How am I not able to block? How am I just so dumb? I've got years, like 30 years of video game experience, and he's beating me like it's my first day.
I totally understand it though, because I kind of struggle with that kind of fiddly, like in-depth kind of nuanced like blocking systems and things like that.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of part of the reason why I don't like fighting games, because I kind of work better in a kind of a tactical kind of like taking your time kind of battle.
Yeah.
You know, rather like Yu-Gi-Oh. But
You are the Yu-Gi-Oh master.
yeah, see me on the Yu-Gi-Oh like deck, I'll kick your ass. But if it comes up to like rock paper scissors or something, I just like, you know, I get stressed and throw the whole thing.
Yeah.
I give up. I concede.
Now here's the thing, like, this isn't really a great crescendo to the story, but I've been playing the game off and on for a year, and I haven't really always had a problem blocking. It's just like the last 2 weeks, and I don't know if they added something or changed something with a patch note or something like that. But I was like, I admitted such defeat that I was like, all right, I'm going to go to forums, I'm going to watch videos, I'm going to get all the self-help I can possibly get, because I'm not going to give up. But I've got to be doing something wrong. I mean, it's not like I'm not blocking the direction I'm being hit. It just doesn't happen. I'm like, I mean, there was one point where I saw the attack coming. I moved the analog stick. I heard the analog stick hit the edge, the little plastic edge, clack. And then I saw the hit come and hit me anyway. And I'm like, what did I do wrong?
Well, that just sounds like
So
bullshit.
I was like, all right, forums, YouTube, whatever. And
Have we lost Chris?
Have we lost Chris? Oh.
have we lost me?
Oh,
You're back.
Okay.
You cut off mid bullshit.
It's bullshit. Yeah, I know. I looked up and it said lost internet connection. I was like, well, but it's back. Okay, so I'm gonna go back. I'll start the whole story again. So, do you remember what the last thing I said was? Like the words?
I think you can go from like the clack of the stick hitting the side.
Perfect. Okay, yeah. So I felt like the clack of the stick hitting the plastic side, and then I saw the hit come down and hit me anyway. Like, I mean, I physically felt and then heard my response before the hit on screen. Now, I mean, I know there's like lag and latency sometimes, but it doesn't look like that on screen. It looks perfectly fluid. It doesn't look like there's any latency. I'm not getting any notifications. So I was like, what the fuck did I do to still get hit? And
that sounds like bullshit.
Right, it sounds like bullshit. But what I did is I went to the forums, I went to the YouTube, and people were saying things like, "Oh, change your guard break to R3," or blah blah. Go to the options, and I'm just like, you can't. I've already looked. You can't customize your controls, or I would have done that kind of stuff a long time ago.
Yeah.
Go to the options, and you can only customize one function, that's guard break, but that's a different faction, different thing entirely. I didn't even talk about, but that was also something that's really frustrating me. But I also went to the fine tuning control section, and in there's it shows the right analog stick, and you can actually manipulate how the right analog stick works. So you can make it you can narrow the zones for left and right blocking and increase the zone for high blocking. So you can just easily slip your thumb in any direction, even remotely upwards, and block high, or make it more precise for left and right, and that kind of stuff. But the other thing, this is the night and day change that I've made, is that there's a dead zone in the center of the right analog stick, right? So if you don't move the right analog stick, nothing happens. But there's also a programmed dead zone where if you move the right analog stick in a small amount in any direction, nothing happens. You actually have to get the analog stick all the way to the end before a function even activates, like a blocking function even activates. And you can shrink that dead zone down to nothing. So you can actually twitch block. Like you just tap the right analog stick one direction, and it moves the animation immediately, as opposed to having to go through a dead zone journey through Mordor first. You can just make it instantaneous. And when I've done that, oh my god, on reflex, I'm blocking every goddamn thing, and it's so much better. And I'm screaming inside, like, why in the fuck is it defaulted to have half the analog stick rotation in a dead zone?
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know why you do that.
That's part of the meta climb in that game.
Yeah,
it's just like noobs, need to learn this
one crazy
menu
trick.
Is it a way for veteran players to feel empowered?
It's almost like a cheat code. Block more effectively. I mean, that's basically all I did was just press the button for blocking much, much more effectively. I don't know why there's a dead zone at all, but I mean, I am chewing through people now. It feels amazing. I play that warlord, round shield and sword wielding guy, and he's supposed to be heavily defensive because I wasn't able to block up to this point. So I was like, fuck it, I'll choose the most defensive character who has a function where you press the right analog stick down and he blocks all directions. So I don't have to worry about reflex. It still didn't work because there's that fucking dead zone there. But now that I've fixed that, I mean, I'm blocking on reaction. Left attack, block. Right attack, block. High attack, block. Parry, hit. And I just stand my ground. I'll fight 4 people at once, and I may not win, but I'll kill 1 or 2 of them, and I'll hold my ground enough that the rest of my team will show up and mop up the rest of the wounded and maybe resurrect me if they don't execute me. And I'm just like, oh, night and day, right? So much better. I just don't understand why it was defaulted. You have to make sure it's on the absolute outer rim before anything even starts happening, because you don't block immediately. You block once your character shifts stance and then puts the shield in the direction you're supposed to block. So whatever the animation time is for that, on top of the dead zone, that's when you block.
Wow.
Yeah, which is a whole 3/4 of a second. Yeah. Anyway, that is a significant climb to success for me, because the soul shattering defeat that I had suffered on a one-on-one basis was just so much that I hadn't felt as depressed in a long time. So
no, I know how
a
you
bit
feel.
of horror there, I guess.
There's nothing worse than just sitting there and thinking, I just suck at this.
Yeah, I just suck.
You just didn't believe in the heart of the sticks.
Also,
quite literally.
You get to that point. If it's a online game where there's teams, you end up getting to that point where you just feel like you're letting down the team as well.
Yeah.
You're like, why am I
Yeah.
playing this? I'm just letting them down.
Yeah, like I'd actually.
I felt like that on Splatoon 2.
Oh, I bet.
I feel like that a lot of times.
Like I did the
one
strategy of taking my warlord to an objective that is like a capture point that has a cliff face or like windows or something like that, and waiting, just sitting there waiting, owning the objective, which does help the team because it gets an extra point on the score total the longer I stay there. But when somebody shows up to attack me, instead of fighting them fair and square, I just do my best to grab them and throw them out of the window.
Nice. Yeah, that's my trick for fighting games that allow ring out, like Soul Calibur.
Yeah. Don't do the
Yeah.
fight. Just ring them out. Fuck it. You know. But that
Playing
was
the
like
long haul.
that was the
That's
best
where
I
my
could
tactics come in, as opposed to, like dirtbag tactics,
Yeah.
as opposed to like actually getting good at the game.
Yeah, and it's fantastic with the Viking classes. The Viking classes, like all the Vikings, all have a trap that you can put in your kit, and it's a bear trap. So I just like put the bear trap down, and then I walk to the edge and just watch the fight over the edge. And then when I hear that, I turn around, pick him up, and throw his ass off the cliff.
Nice.
And then I'm just like watching the fight some more until my
It's just like that's efficient. Like in real life,
Yeah.
that would be, like to be a camper in real life is not like a bad thing.
No.
It means that you stay alive.
it's exactly
Like-
Means you're patient.
Yeah, it means you're patient. It means you're gonna have a higher kill-death ratio. And in real life, you can only have one D. So, the more
true.
K is the better way to go. So camping totally works. And it was just so awesome because you could tell. Because I know this happened to me before. When I'm like, oh, there's only one guy at this objective. Charge, and then trap. Fuck, and then he just walks over, picks me up over his head, and throws me off a cliff. I have to watch myself fall to my death, wait 12 seconds to respawn, hit X, run back there, fucking fuck with him again. I will get him, damn it. Fortunately, the trap cooldown is like a minute, so you can't do that twice in a row to the same person. But still,
Oh, that's good. That is good.
so...
Because that could get all kinds of broken.
Oh, so frustrating, yeah. It's just like, oh god, because you see the trap close on your leg, your character kneel down, like trying to break the trap, and it's like what's going to happen next, and you can't even guard break counter because you're in a prone position. So it's like you're just watching the movie of your death, and it was all your fault because you got stupid and you ran straight for the bad guy who was very clearly setting himself as bait for a trap. Oh man,
that's very honorful, though, isn't it? Is that a word? Just that's the point of honor, right? Is to kind of like once more into the breach, dear friends. Charge them when they're mowing you down. That's kind of like the epitome of honor, isn't it?
Isn't that more valor
in a war setting? Oh, I guess it is more valor.
Like honor would be
Also-
not using the trap and facing a one-on-one on that fight and fighting like with the rules and fairness and not throwing anybody off a cliff.
It's true. Also, it allows you to reflect on the mistakes you've made.
It sure as fuck does. I made
I
a
shouldn't have
terrible
stepped in this
mistake.
trap.
Yeah, and honestly, one of the things I really like about For Honor, and since you brought up the honor thing, is when you do one-on-one duels, a lot of the time people don't throw you off a cliff. A lot of the time they will, if you get close to the cliff, they'll back up and let you get your footing again. A lot of the time they'll wait until you salute them before the fight starts. It's really
I've heard
cool.
that.
Wow.
It's really
I've heard
cool.
that from a lot of people that play that there's not a lot of they're fighting backstab.
Right.
No, they're fighting each other. So because those people might be really enjoying their duel, and you don't want to ruin it.
Right. And there's even a function in the game called revenge mode where, like, if you take enough hits or you block enough damage or something like that, you can use revenge to give yourself an artificial extra health, do more damage, that kind of thing. You might even be, like, unblockable or uninterruptible. Like, so your attacks will follow through no matter what. It's a very empowering mode, and it lasts for, like, 4 or 5 seconds. So when you're fighting 4 people at once, there's a way to you can, like, have a trump card. You can believe in the heart of the cards. And then...
Well, you mentioned traps. Like, this is
Oh,
basically
no.
3-dimensional Yu-Gi-Oh, right?
Yeah, there you go. It's 3D
God, it's
Yu-Gi-Oh. And but with revenge mode, it's so empowering that when you're in a duel and the person can activate revenge mode, this has happened on multiple opponents. They'll activate revenge mode and run away until it expires, and then come back to fight.
Wow.
Like, they won't even use the highly empowering mode that would easily let them kill me or help them kill me. They'll actually be like, hold on a second, I'm gonna wait this out. Okay, let's fight again. And I was like,
So I'm gonna do
holy
this
shit.
right.
Yeah,
Wow.
That's hardcore.
yeah, it's really cool. But when somebody can beat your ass without getting hit and taunt you the whole fucking time and put you in the palm of their hand, even in that scenario, it's like, I wish the honor didn't exist so he could just fucking kill me.
Please just kill me.
So, man,
Jesus Christ.
you know, I can't help but think this podcast has completely missed the point.
I don't know. It's quite horrific. War is hell. There we go.
War is hell.
Exactly.
War never changes.
Except when it does.
War never changes.
Yeah. Isn't
That
there
was my
like
best old Snake impression. I
yeah?
couldn't do it.
Don't they say that in Fallout 2? Or not Fallout the sequel, but Fallout as well? Like war never changes, or does war always
Probably.
change, or something? I'm almost certain somebody says war always changes, or war is something or other. And then somebody else follows up
Probably.
with war never changes. I need to find that out.
I'm
Probably.
yeah, I'm
It
not
wouldn't
sure
surprise
exactly,
me.
but I think it might be that Fallout says war never changes, but maybe Snake was saying, well, no, because see, I'm imagining.
Yeah, he says
it in
war
a
has
Snake
changed.
voice.
War has changed.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. War has changed.
Yeah.
Stop smoking, Snake. Maybe you'd have a
Yeah,
better
Snake
voice.
says
You're
war has
dying anyway.
changed, and Fallout they say war never changes.
That's it.
That's it.
Wait, they're contradicting one another. What's
Yeah.
going on here?
What's going
in
on?
the same
here?
universe.
Let's see.
Oh no, my
man.
fan fiction is ruined.
You know what's crazy though is that my pun just went by you, like a
Oh, the missed
fog.
one.
Yeah,
No,
no, you got it.
I got it.
All right, cool.
Yep, I got it.
We started
And all of our, savvy listeners,
Yeah.
they got it too.
they all got it. All of the two of them.
You better have
Hi,
got
Mom.
it. You're like, you got it. I told you it beforehand, but it's fine. Shut up. Don't
Incidentally, I
put
was
your
telling
hand
you
down.
guys the other day, we had a massive spike in listeners for one day.
Where
I don't
did
know
you
where
all
the fuck
go?
they came from, or where they went.
Chinese
They
click
They were
farms.
welcome to stay.
Chinese click farms. That's got to be all it is.
Where did they come from?
Chinese click farms.
You know
Where
Is
did
that
they
what you
go?
said?
Yeah, you know what click farms? Oh, you guys don't know what click farms are. Okay, check this out. I have seen video of this. It's insane. Wall-to-wall cell phones with chargers plugged in, right? And there's like these little apps that just like go through like the internet, web, and whatever, and just like do the clicking on the likes and stuff, like automatically. And so, like, these people can actually generate likes, generate clicks on, and generate YouTube ad revenue passively, and sell that to people who want to get like a boost in like likes or whatever on their website.
Holy shit! I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Like farms.
Click farms.
Click farms, sorry. What the fuck?
Yeah,
That's really weird.
yeah. It's insane.
I guess phones are smaller than computers,
Yeah.
so that's why they use phones.
Yeah, I mean, well, phones you have the smaller size. You also, so you can put more of them in the same room, save on space, and also each one of them has like their own like IP connection or whatever. So you could have, it's like having a whole bunch of tiny people in a room as opposed to like a moderate number of medium-sized people in a room. If you know what I'm saying.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
That's
Well,
insane.
the Chinese click farms, they're welcome to stay.
they're welcome to stay. Ni
I don't know
hao.
any Chinese words, but
We thank them for their listening. Yeah.
thank you for listening. Oh, they're gone. Shit. So now I've offended the Irish and the Chinese.
Yeah, Matt.
Yeah, we're stacking them up this year.
Fuck. Well, let's see if I can get through all the nations by the end of the year.
Well, how many episodes are in a season?
Uh,
You might have to double up.
could happen. Okay, I'm gonna have to double up and insult multiple nations. Jesus fucking Christ. It's gonna be difficult. Fuck off, France. There you go. That'll work.
Yay.
Hey.
We have a special thing for the French, supposedly as a nation. Literally the other day, our kind of like
Jesus.
highly paid buffoon that
prat.
everyone keeps around for some reason, Boris Johnson, suggested that we should have a massive fucking bridge between us and France. Literally within a year of everyone in England, or at least half of them, going "fuck off, France," and the European nation, I guess, but as a kind of like extension.
Also,
So that was really interesting.
also there was I think it was a Conservative MP. It's thoroughly is absolutely adamantly against the bridge because we might get invaded.
As someone who lives in this part of the world, which is very close to the French border, that's hilarious.
Also, don't we have a tunnel leading to France as well?
Yeah.
Yep.
I was going to ask that. Like, don't you already have like a bridge to France in a manner of speaking? Like some way that just like bridges the gap.
But then they can double up on the invasion. It'll be like a super invasion.
Well, the only way that I could picture it was I don't know if you guys have seen the first arc of Naruto.
Yeah, I have.
The first arc of Naruto, they go on this kind of like long bridge, and then like they name the bridge after Naruto, like in his honor.
Okay.
But I was imagining Boris Johnson in the role of Naruto, and it was hugely satisfying to imagine that for a minute or so. Yeah.
Oh, that's a terrifying thought.
Yeah.
Boris Johnson is a ninja.
Boris Johnson as a
ninja.
multiplying ninja. And don't get me started on sexy jutsu as well.
What was it at the London Olympics? When he was like, and Wigwam is coming home.
Yes, something like that.
Is a name for is it ping pong? Table tennis.
Something like that, yeah.
Wigwam.
Everyone, you know, kind of like sensibly adjusted calls it table tennis.
Yeah.
It was like, no, it's called,
It's coming home.
Yeah.
Can you go home and never leave?
Did you say it was
Building
called
again,
wigwam?
Something like that.
Oh, okay. So you're not sure. Okay. I think a wigwam is like a Native American tent.
I thought so, yeah.
Yeah.
But it was something like that. Wigwam.
TP is coming home.
I'm going to get it for our fact fans, because we're kind of having a cultural exchange today, which is really nice. You taught us about Click Farms.
Yeah.
We're teaching you about Boris Johnson.
We're teaching you about a cretin.
Yeah.
Whiff Waff.
Whiff waff.
Whiff waff, that's it. Whiff waff.
Well, I mean,
Whiff waff.
to be fair, that's what it sounds like.
Flam.
Whiff waff.
Whiff waff, whiff waff. That's what it sounds like. You know, I'm okay with that. From now on, it's called whiff waff.
It'd be like, what's that? What's that contraption over there? Flying contraption called? It's called a
It's a whoosh.
whoosh.
Or
They have to find a better name for that.
No, I think it's a fine name. It's whoosh. Just
A whoosh is
All
fine
about
so
the
long
whoosh.
as it stays a whoosh and doesn't become a sploosh.
Well, I think in German, a plane can be called like a Flugzeug, which means flying thing in German.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
It's a flying
I
thing.
I have a friend from Finland. His name's Miko. Shout out Miko. He never probably listens to this because he's got better things to do. But
Bastard.
he's a cool drummer guy.
Bastard.
And, when he came over to this country, we were kind of like exchanging kind of like weird things about language because I think. Yeah, without going too deep into it, I had to explain to him that bugger is kind of like an affectionate term, or like, you know, not a very, explicit swear word in this day and age.
Okay.
But what it actually means is something rather explicit.
Yes.
So we were explaining all of these things, and he said that in Finnish, or Suomi, I guess is like proper name, because
It sounds delicious,
they get
whatever it is.
they get to name their own fucking language. He told me about umbrella. Now, umbrella is satin varjo, which basically translates to shadow of rain.
Oh,
Which
that's
sounds
badass.
fucking epic.
Yeah, it's the most metal way to call an umbrella. Shadow frame.
Quick dear.
Yeah.
Quick dear. Grab my shadow rain.
Shadow of rain. It sounds like a fucking Yu-Gi-Oh card. I
Sounds
play
like a-
Shadow of Rain.
Yeah, you've activated my
It's
trap
about
card.
like a. It's either like some kind of like magic sword from Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Cloud use shadow of rain.
Oh god, I have to do this now.
And I swear that's true. You Google that, you'll find that out. It's
badass.
true facts. True facts.
That's
Oh
awesome.
man, I gotta do this.
Can it cut through fog?
Just
Segue.
about anything.
Ooh. Yeah, we're back on topic.
Fog's a movie. By
Oh,
John
fog!
Carpenter.
Man, that one
It's
went over
good.
my
Bye.
head like a cloud.
I missed it.
Yeah, we should really start talking about the fog.
So, The Fog is a 1980 movie. It came out February 1st, directed by John Carpenter. It's a good movie. Goodbye.
It was a good movie. I enjoyed it.
I didn't.
Yes, I really liked it. It's the first time I'd seen it.
Oh, really? It's the first
Yeah,
time you
same
saw
for
it?
me.
Me
Yeah.
too.
I definitely hadn't seen it before.
Wow.
I realised as I was watching I hadn't seen it. I'd seen clips, but I'd never actually watched the whole thing, which surprises me because I like so much of his other work. which is really weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked how this isn't really much to do with the movie, but when you go to Amazon and rent it, it tells you that the movie was directed by John Carpenter, T-A-R.
Fuck's sake.
Yeah, it's like Carpenter is like that's a pretty well-known word.
Wait, I wonder if they did that on purpose because it's about like they're not pirates per se. If they're like it's directed by John Carpenter.
Right.
I like that.
I wonder if someone did that on purpose.
Yeah. So what's the synopsis of The Fog? So nobody else is cloudy on the issue.
It's that's painful. It's actually, I mean, like a lot of his work, the synopsis is quite short. It's a small cast because a lot of his work always was a very small contained cast. Set in, I don't know if it's a fictional town of Antonio Bay in California. It's a coastal town, and they're celebrating their 100th anniversary. Of I think it's the creation of the proper like building of the town. Before it was just like a small settlement back in the 1800s, and lots of strange goings on are happening, and it's really easy to sum up. There's a fog coming in that contains revenants that are killing people. It's that simple. It's a ghost story, a very traditional ghost story of there's a ship that was lost out at sea and they will return and murder people for reasons.
While we're talking about that, can I just mention that this was... I love this movie so much because in a year... Like, we live in 2018, which, for better or worse, has already kind of started off on the wrong foot. We've got people... in positions of power, dick waving with nuclear weapons.
Which is terrifying.
Like, the height of internet wit is like a fat Knuckles in a Ugandan accent.
Oh, fuck off with that
shit. Yeah. So, in this day and age where everything's got to be fast and loud and obnoxious, I welcomed the fact that we literally opened sort of like on a dark moon filled night with him by a campfire, and it's just his voice and he's just talking, and we're not even seeing what he's talking about. It's like we're just seeing his face while he talks.
Yeah.
And I found that so refreshing. It just completely cleansed my palate, set the scene. It had gravitas. Do you know what I mean?
He paints a picture for him, like, wow, I wonder what they're going to look like. What do they look like when they
his
come
voice,
back?
Man, it was so good.
He's so intense. He's telling it to children, which I loved because it's just like, really?
Oh yeah, ghost stories. Ghost stories are often told to children.
I loved scary stories as a kid, but it's just like some of them looked a bit horrifying. Like, I don't want to ship to. We live here.
Well, he was an effective storyteller. Like for me, the first part of that movie, which is the campfire scene with the old fisherman dude, looks like he sells fish sticks on the side, who was telling these kids this ghost story about ghosts who crashed on a ship on a place. Because they saw a campfire and they thought it was like something else or whatever, and they all drowned. Everyone died on that boat, and it's like that was the best part of the movie. The next 2 hours, well, no, the first 10 minutes after that were pretty good too, with the spooks, where it's like the guy's working in the gas station convenience store and things are falling apart. And at first it's like, it's okay. You weren't there, you didn't see it. Something knocked something over. It's just whatever. But then he's standing there and he sees that sign break in real time, and I was like, this is really effective. But then an hour and a half after that, I'm like, I am so bored. This movie.
Really?
I was bored with the movie almost the entire time until the very end, where I was like, okay, now how does this end? Who's number 6? That's all I wanted to know.
It's weird because that happens a lot with some of John Carpenter's films. People either tend to really like them or they find them really boring.
It's funny you should say that, Chris, because I enjoyed the film, but I definitely feel like it kind of dragging. You know how it takes place over, I guess, 2 days? Or 2 nights.
It's a couple of days, at least.
Yeah, there's a kind of a bit in the middle where I felt like it was just kind of not dragging, but it was slower. Even slower than the kind of the normal pace of everything going on.
I would almost prefer that Andy and Miss Krushner or whatever her name was just not even be in the movie. All of the scenes with them could have been replaced by Nick and Jamie Lee Curtis's character finding the driftwood, for example, bringing that to the lighthouse lady's attention, which would have zipped the movie up a little bit better. But that's probably just me in 2018 having too much time on my hands to look at my cell phone or do other things, and like having attention starved deficit disorder or whatever I have, whatever the world would say that I have, because I can't stop looking at my cell phone sometimes. Like I can't just sit and like watch the movie. Like those three guys on the boat, they're just hanging out on the boat drinking beer. I would have just been so bored. That would not be a good time for me. Like we're just like hanging out, farting in a boat cabin, drinking beer. I mean, they didn't do that in the movie, but you're drinking beer, the carbs you either burp or you fart. It's one of those two things, and it's like that's all they just
kind of.
Yeah, it's a small boat, so like you guys have gotten intimate, not like had sex, but you know each other well. So it's like this
tasted each other's gas.
Yeah.
Inadvertently. So, I can't breathe.
Yeah. Oh, gotta go out the deck again. Oh, now I'm seasick. Gotta go back in the cabin. It's just bad everywhere here, but I love my buddies.
Get me another beer.
Yeah. Like the best part about the movie, besides the parts that I've already said were the best part about the movie, was how quickly the first three victims go down. It's like, oh, cool.
Jesus, yeah.
We're picking up the good pace here, and then it just, like I said, like the next hour is just like, what happened? Like, oh no, no.
I think it's a slow burn.
I
haven't seen the remake, but I imagine that. I mean, if a film like this was made now, it would start a lot quicker, and instead of the old man telling the story, instead of just having him sat there and the camera being on him and then pan to the children, instead we would see. The film made today would probably, by a lesser filmmaker, would show us the story and then show us the ghostly images. And then, someone dies. The fuck. Credits roll. Blood.
To be honest, they'd be saving that for them, like for one of the twists. So we'd probably get just shit happening with no explanation.
Yeah.
And then we'd get kind of like, I found the diary. This is where they like get all the information from. Well, like as a viewer, we're kind of told at the beginning that this shit happened and that they're coming back, and then we kind of fly up and over to the sea where we can see it literally starting to happen.
And then so we have this story, and then we have the Father Malone, poor Father Malone, drunken Father Malone.
Yeah.
Leave me alone, John Carpenter. That was actually the guy working for him was actually John Carpenter as well. And he I think it's at 12 o'clock because weird stuff starts happening at 12 o'clock as we mentioned. And a stone slab from inside the church falls, and he finds a journal by his great grandfather, his grandfather, the previous Father Malone, and he starts to read it and descends into madness a little bit, and then but later on he's telling it to, I think, is it the mayor of the town? I think she's the mayor.
I think she must be, yeah.
She definitely has a high councilwoman seat, if not the mayor, yeah.
And he's telling her the story, and immediately we're given the reason as to why they will be coming back, and obviously we're not really told until much later how to potentially rid ourselves of them.
Right.
But I liked, again, even though when he's telling her the story, it's similar to the scene at the very beginning with the fisherman, and when they're both telling the story, we don't see anything. There's no flashback of people killing these fishermen or these adventurers, wherever they are, wherever you want to call them. We're just told, and allows us to paint the picture again, and I think it's more impactful imagining all the horrible things they did to steal the money, which I should preface saying that.
Okay.
Well, actually, yeah, I should do.
That's fine. The thing I actually want to ask you is because, I mean, maybe I wasn't paying attention, but you were talking about Father Malone reading the journal, and the journal indicates that there was a leper colony starting up north of where the movie's town is. I'd already forgotten what that place was called. Something Bay, Antonio Bay, something like that.
That's
and I think he was saying that the leper colony was just trying to start like a civilization or like a township north of Antonio Bay, and they were going to give gold to Antonio Bay. Like,
I think so. Yeah, they were gonna. It was like, look, because he was rich. He was a rich, really rich leper, and he had all he made the balloons, and I believe that they were gonna. I assume they'd have like kind of shared the money almost, and to build the two towns together. So you've got the leper colony, and then you've got Antonio Bay.
Yeah.
And instead, the really reprehensibly horrible Father Malone, the grandfather,
Right.
Conspires to kill them all with the other townspeople and take all the money.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, they basically like put up a false light, like a campfire or whatever, so that they would know where like land was or something. But then they crashed because it wasn't like a real like, hey, guess what? You're so and so or whatever. It's like a different landmark, like a false landmark. That's basically what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And they end up crashing and sinking. But like, I have problems with that story because it's like if they crashed on land because that's where the campfire was, then why did the boat sink? Wouldn't it just like get scuttled onto the surface of wherever it was?
I think it kind of like it got kind of hit by the rocks and kind of like took on water and sank. So like how you can kind of have rocks coming up not just on the actual land itself, but kind of like in the bay.
Yeah.
So I think it must have got kind of like taken a hit and went down.
At
the bottom of the
Sure.
bay.
I mean that's fine. I mean maybe they put the fire on a place where it's like surrounded by those kinds of rocks, more like a really tiny island, as opposed to like an actual landmass or whatever. But it's still surrounded by deep water, that kind of thing, like a lagoon.
Yeah, it's so vindictive.
Yeah,
it's like even worse than just stabbing them.
Yeah,
but it's horrible because when he's reading the journal and he says and he's reading it, and the previous Father Malone, he writes something like, despite my good intentions and that, I can't stomach the thought of them being nearby.
Yeah.
It's like, Jesus Christ, you're not supposed to be like this at all.
Yeah.
Dude, it's the 1800s. It's Dickens era.
Yeah.
Everyone is shit.
Everyone hates everyone.
Yeah.
But it's a simple setup. So they want revenge, and it is kind of really a traditional ghost tale, isn't it? Like and then they'll return and gain revenge on the townspeople.
See, that was the thing too. Is like I'm sure I've said on the show before, but I have said in real life plenty of times that I love ghost stories, but I had to remind myself like halfway through this movie that I love ghost stories. I love these things. Why is it so boring? Why don't I love this as much?
I mean, I can totally see. I can definitely see where you could be bored in it. I mean, like I said, John Carpenter's work seems to do that to people. They either really like it, or some people just find it really boring.
Yeah,
I think slow burn is the right term.
Yeah,
he does do slow burners. He tends to. I mean, in the thing, it all kind of kicks off very quickly. That's not a good example, but even Prince of Darkness.
Prince of Darkness.
Prince of Darkness is a good one. It's
Escape from New York as well. I remember
I love Escape from New York.
Takes ages.
Yeah, I love Escape from New York.
Oh yeah, I do, but it's very methodical at the beginning. There's lots of long shots. Things happen like far away in them.
Yeah.
They take a long time. I remember like one of my main memories of that film is it takes a long time to like get into the action.
Right.
Yeah,
but that's good because it sets the scene and everything else. I think part of it is kind of like attention span of has changed.
Yeah.
It has.
I also think it's the fact that this, people would have gone to see this in a cinema with no mobile phone.
That's true.
Oh, well.
And also, any of his films made now, like Escape from New York, if they, because they keep threatening to remake it, but when they do, it'll probably be full of explosions and big action
they've already made Escape from LA, which is a point-for-point remake of Escape from New York. When you think about it, like instead of like the president being kidnapped, it's the president's daughter. He still has to go to like some isolated part of like ex-America, like California or New York or whatever. And honestly, though, like Escape from LA was the first one that I saw. And I love that movie.
I've still not seen it.
I love that movie. It's like number 5 in my top 5 movies, probably. I love that movie.
Really?
Yeah. And it's not because, like I said, I didn't see Escape from New York yet, but when I did eventually see Escape from New York, I didn't like it any better because I noticed it was the exact same story. But the thing that...
wait a minute.
Yeah. But the thing that made me like Escape from LA a lot was the end. Just like how it all came to a head, and it was like, what's Pliskin gonna do? And he just says, fuck everybody. Even himself, because he's one of the few people in that entire scenario who's equipped to survive in a no electricity environment. He doesn't need anybody or anything, and even if he dies, he doesn't give a shit. So it was like, yeah, fucking black out the world, dude. Dude, yeah. All right. Like, he was...
That world sucks anyway.
Yeah, I think it's like he was the first anti-hero I've ever really experienced. I was just like, he wasn't like, oh, I gotta save the girl, or the president's daughter actually kind of loves me, so whatever. Like, even the girl he meets in the plastic surgery, like, den, the little hive of plastic surgeons or whatever, like, he saves her, and then she just dies later, and he's like, fuck it.
Yeah, I mean, in both films, he's forced into doing it. He doesn't want to. He's like, oh my God, I'll save the president. He's like, fuck the president.
Yeah, fuck him,
I mean, even in Escape from New York, I remember he gets one over on the president right at the end, doesn't he?
Yeah. I don't remember
he steals
exactly.
the tape.
Yeah, something like that. I just remember.
I was like, fuck you.
I remember like these giant like combat boot-sized satellite phones they were using to talk. That shit was great. I was like, and also like his gun in Escape from New York was just like a box with a handle on it. Like there was hardly any like design decision going into that at all. There was like, no, I found a box, we painted it black, hold it like a gun.
Which loses it immediately anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, speaking of Escape from New York, there is a direct tie between that and The Fog, which is Tom Atkins, who played the character of Nick Castle in this. And for those that are in the know about John Carpenter's work, Nick Castle is the man who played Michael Myers in the original Halloween.
Oh.
So that's not the only name. One of the characters in this is also called Dan O'Bannon.
Yes, I noticed that. I saw the name come up and I went, aha, I remember Dan O'Bannon. We've talked about him.
So yeah, but anyway, yeah, Tom Atkins he's in this, and I think he's the guy who sends Pliskin on his mission in Escape from New York. Obviously, Tom Atkins in this not sporting his moustache, which is a terrible shame because the man can rock a moustache. Also is in Halloween 3: Season of the Witch, which was written by John Carpenter, I think, which is also not as terrible as everyone likes to say it is. It's certainly better than some of the other Halloween sequels, and also has a really dark ending, which is great. But yeah, so there is a direct link, which is the same with most of John Carpenter's works. He usually uses an actor at least twice.
Yeah.
So, but
that's cool, I guess.
Yeah, it is a shame you were bored for most of it. I liked the fact it was such a slow burner that it felt like it was building up the tension for me, and I kept waiting for it to happen.
Yeah.
And I did genuinely get a bit creeped out a couple of times. But most notably the first kills of the movie. Three, the only kills really, 'cause it's not a really high body count. But
no, 6 exactly.
There's that. Yeah, there's obviously the fog's rolling in at the beginning. We've got the three fishermen that you mentioned.
Yeah.
And two of them die on the deck, because these revenants just appear on their ship. The fallen ship goes past and then disappears. And then they just appear and just kill them quite horribly. There's still not any gore, but they die horribly.
Yeah, there's like no blood in this movie.
No,
like even when they get pierced all the way through from back to front with a knife or a sword or a hook, there's no blood or gore on that. And I kind of respect that sort of decision where they're trying to build up without being vulgar about it.
Yeah, there doesn't have to be like blood spraying everywhere. It just leaves it up to your imagination. It's like you know exactly what they're doing. Yeah, it's not nice.
It's not nice.
And then there's the one shot where it goes back to the younger guy who's still inside the ship, and the door opens,
and he doesn't turn round. That guy,
and the light,
time.
the light in the fog just fades, and the revenant just disappears, and you only notice that it's slowly walking towards him. For some reason, it really skeeved me out, because what's creepy about them is that they're so patient and deliberate. They're in no rush to kill you because they know they're going to kill you.
Yeah. It reminds me of one of our earlier podcasts, that movie with the curse that passes from person to person via sex. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, It Follows.
It follows, yeah. Like, I think one of your comments on that was that it reminded you of a John Carpenter film, and I could definitely see the correlation between what you said then and what I saw yesterday, or actually this morning with The Fog. I was like, yeah, it's basically the same kind of thing, though It Follows is a much better movie.
I didn't even think about that, but that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
It's kind of like thematically, it's very very similar.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you're right. Actually, I'm glad you brought that because that's a really good point. But
Yeah. And it was your point.
Inherently creepy. Yeah, exactly. I completely forgot. I'm a John Carpenter fan, but there is something inherently creepy about just something that wants to kill you, but is in absolutely no rush
Yeah.
because it knows it's going to eventually.
Well-
it's got all the time in the world. It's very creepy. It's creepy.
Yeah.
Well, I had a couple of hypothetical questions I just wanted to ask. So, what do you reckon would have happened if they hadn't killed 6 people, or got their gold back? Like after the second or third night, like, can you imagine them like just rocking up every day trying to kill people?
Oh, the town would be gone. I mean, they either would have taken what they came for, or they just would have killed everyone.
Because it's the 100th anniversary of the town beginning, which is also presumably when their boat sunk, and that's why they're coming back, because it's the 100th anniversary.
Yeah, because I think they were probably both. I imagine that the Antonio Bay settlement was, not quite a town yet, so they stole the gold from. Was it Captain Blake? I think.
Yeah,
was?
Blake.
The lead
Blake
rebel.
was his name.
Yeah, Blake. So they stole his. They killed them. Conspired to kill them, stole their money, and then built the town. Because the current Father Malone even says, like, how can we do this? We're celebrating murderers. We're celebrating people that stole the money from innocent people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Innocent
it just kind of-
lepers.
Yeah.
Like, that's double
I
bad.
found
Yeah, it's really bad.
I found it funny though, because I was expecting, especially when the fog rolled in and everything else, I was expecting it to be just the one night.
Yeah,
that it
so was I.
happened. And when we actually cut to daytime, and it was daytime, and I was like, okay. And then the second night happens. I kind of like had this funny image in my head of like a week later. They can't get to anyone because, like, I don't know, they've managed to shut themselves in where, the fog can't come through under the door or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
How
thought maybe it was gonna
how
be like
many
that.
times they'd kind of be just knocking there until they just like go, fuck it.
Like, oh, come in. Do you want a cup of tea?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, they'll like leave like tea and cookies
I-
out for like them, like you would leave them out for Santa Claus. Like, maybe they'll eat the cookies. Maybe.
Yeah, no, we leave it out for the fog.
Yeah.
Jim.
leave out a bowl full of doubloons.
Yeah.
Where's me doubloons?
No, chocolate doubloons, because they don't have the gold. They're just like, yeah, fuck it. We're gonna make doubloons out of candy, and maybe they'll take that instead.
That's why they came back. Sequel.
Oh yeah.
And then fast forward another 100 years, and everyone's like, cynical about the commercialization of Fog Day.
Oh my god.
Fog Day.
Yeah.
Have your picture taken with Blake. What are you doing?
Like, they've actually
Close his eyes at you.
like managed to capture the spirits in places, so you can like look at them and hang out with them and take selfies with them and stuff. And Antonio Bay becomes this hop-in
glass box.
tourist destination. Thanks, Captain Blake.
It's frightening. And then they come back. Oh no. There's a leak in the last container. I do like the fact that. So I mean, it's again skipping ahead, but we're not going to go through the whole film anyway. But I like the fact that when they realise, like, because there's they theorise that there's 2 ways to get rid of them. Like the in the journal it says that the other conspirators think that by killing them they'll leave, but the Father Malone, great grandfather, whatever his Father Malone, believes that by giving them the money back, that will make Blake fuck off again. And I love the fact that it shows what a prick that Malone was, that he had all the doubloons melted down and turned into a gold cross.
Yeah.
What an arsehole.
Yeah.
What a prick.
Because, like, 2 things. One, he didn't spend the gold. He just kept it.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like, what a bastard.
And 2, it's like he melted into a cross, like, forgive me for I have sinned, or whatever. But it's like, you didn't even get to use the thing you wanted to use it for. You just murdered people for no reason.
It's the height of hypocrisy.
You have poached lepers at this point.
Yeah, like, God's just up there going, dude, what the hell is wrong with you?
Dick move.
Yeah.
Like, and then you have it meld into a cross. Don't celebrate me with that.
It's like, I'm coming back for you. I'm sorry, I can't let this shit stand. I'm going to come
How
back
dare
to
you
you.
besmirch the fine name of Fog Day?
Yeah. Fuck that.
Damn you. I do like the way when our father, the present day Father Malone, realizes this, and it's the way he's holding it because it looks heavy as shit.
Yeah.
And he just decides to like shuffle out the room with it. It's like, it's fine, I'm gonna get it out to Blake. It's cool.
Well,
I've got this. Oh god, it's heavy.
I'll give it to him. We'll fist bump. Everything will be fine. It'll be perfectly fine.
It will be fine. You're crazy. They're revenants.
Yeah.
I really liked how because I think this is like the only time you see Blake in the whole movie is right at the end.
I do like how
if
he
you
looks
do,
too. By the way, I like the whole red eye
So
thing
cool.
and the costume and all that kind of stuff was really great.
Yeah, apparently I found out that was played by Rob Bottin, who's very well known as part of the special effects world. And I think Rob Bottin's the guy who worked on The Thing. Yeah, so apparently the story goes that they needed someone to play Blake, and Bottin's like, I'll do it, I'll play Blake. I really want to play Blake. So obviously he was just one of the special effects guys, and his story he told was that John Carpenter said, all right, then stand up. And he thought, oh, fuck, he's going to tell me to stand up and get out. And he went, okay, cool, you got it. Because apparently he's quite a tall, big guy. It's like, no, it's fine. We need a tall, imposing guy to play Blake, so you got the role.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, great. I like the fact that the revenants are that we don't really see them much at all. Like you can kind of see the dark skin, and we see the face of one right at the end.
Yeah.
But most of the time they're just obscured in darkness or enveloped in the fog, and it just makes them more interesting and creepier that way. You don't have to see them because it's just they look creepy anyway.
Right.
And I love how just dense and thick the fog is as well. You can't see through it, and it looks. I mean, it looks like something straight out of Silent Hill. But the fog is inherently creepy anyway because it's just it's like pitch black. There's the fear of the unknown. You can't. There's the fear of not being able to see what's
but then
what's
sometimes
beyond.
it glows as well, and I like that
I
as
love
well.
it. It's like an otherworldly, ethereal glow, and it's something that a lot of horror movies around the time did, where they liked having like strange lighting and whatnot coming through this like fogs and mist, and it makes it look like so much more nightmarish and otherworldly. And I like that. I kind of miss that as well.
Yeah.
Because nowadays it's just everything's just dark and jump scares and so and like the walls melting. But no,
that to be fair though, that was a
go
really
too
great
much into
effect
it.
of the Silent Hill movie. Okay.
Well, again, like talking about Homecoming, that's out of all the things that they carried over from the movie, the transition to the other world was the best thing they did.
Yeah.
'Cause it just looks cool.
It looks really good.
And it allows you to be playing real time and going, oh no,
Yeah.
no, instead of going to a cutscene, which the game has many of in the opening half an hour.
Yeah.
It allows you to be playing, and then you can just be like running through a hallway, and it starts. It's like, fuck's sake.
Right.
It's just, I'm not out yet. I've got a lot longer to go before I'm out of this place. But I will say one thing. I liked how, and he does this again in a lot of his films, that there's not really one main character. We've got lots of little. It feels, like in how they do these disaster movies where they have lots of little side characters and everyone's got screen time. But there's always this. Even in those, there's always still inherently one main character. I like the fact that all of them seem to have ample screen time. And there's not really one that I feel is more important than any of the others. They all do something, or they all have a role. And I really like that, and I was really surprised that none of them. And it's spoilers, but look at the name of the podcast. None of them actually die in the final standoff at the end.
Yeah.
Well, I say none of them die, but before Malone gives them the cross, like they're breaking in, and they're all going to die, and none of them do, which really surprised me.
Yeah, well, there's going to be 6 deaths, so like that's why I was like, when I was watching the movie, I'm like, okay, 3 of them are already dead. 4 was somebody I can't remember anymore.
The weatherman.
The weatherman.
The weatherman.
Okay, yeah,
And
Well,
5
I kinda liked him.
was the old lady.
the
Yeah.
grandma.
But like the weatherman, he was like so chill about this. He was just like, man, somebody's trying to fuck with me. I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna show them that you don't fuck with me. That's for sure. Open the door. Like, what is this? Hey, somebody's messing around with a fog machine out here. Ah! There we go.
When we were watching it, my girlfriend said she really liked is that even when it's killing him, like when we see the sickle go into his neck.
Yeah.
But then the camera cuts back to a further shot, and you can it's obscured as to what he's doing, but it's like he's wrestling with him.
Yeah, he's still
and then
fighting.
he just drags him outside.
Yeah.
It's like that's so much more effective than having gore and blood and guts falling on the floor. Like, he struggles, and it just drags him off into the night, and he's never seen again.
Yeah.
Like, that's creepy. That's scary. But yeah, so yeah, there's only only 6 deaths, and for a movie like this as well, I mean, holy shit! Again, made it now. Like we'd be seeing panic in the town. We'd be seeing at least like 5 to 6 red shirts being killed willy-nilly and gutted, and
you'd have some teens and you'd have some jocks who were like, man, I'm so fucking awesome, I can't wait
so high.
Yeah, I'm so high, and then they just die. You're like, yeah, fuck those guys, I wanted them to die anyway. But instead of using that like tired old mechanism, they gave you people who didn't deserve it for the most part.
No.
And you kind of wanted to see, like, I actually wanted to see the Weatherman like slug one of them at least, you know.
Yeah, because even though he was like a bit cheeky and flirtatious, he wasn't obnoxious.
Yeah.
You're like, I kind of like this guy. He's funny.
Yeah.
Like he's funny. Because even when he's conversing with Adrienne Barbeau's character, she's not like, oh, go away. She's joking back with him. She's flirting back, and
Yeah.
a bit of
Like
banter going back
it's
and forth, and I
mutual,
liked him.
but I did kind of like lose like a lot of respect for him when he was like on his way to the weather station, and she was like, I'll be up with you all night or whatever, and he's like, I'm gonna be up with you in a minute or whatever, and I was like, whoa, is he driving to the lighthouse? Fuck this guy. But no, he just went to work, and he likes having the phone conversations with her.
And you go, oh, that's what he meant.
Yeah, okay, we're fine now.
Yeah, but yeah, when he's reacting, he's like, someone shine a light outside. Who the fuck's doing this? Come on, it's not funny. So a person would react like that.
Yeah, I would have
unless
to.
they already knew. Yeah, unless, because you're not going to go, oh my god, there's okay shed. She has every reason to think that there is, because, well, one of the best moments in the film is when the bit of driftwood. It's my favourite scene in the movie. Is cool effect where, so to set the scene, Adrienne Barbeau's character, what's her name? DJ Stevie Wayne. Her son
DJ Stevie Wayne of Slutty FM.
Yo. Of KAB state
of like
radio.
Quiet Breathy Midnight Radio.
Yeah, she's great. And her son brings in this bit of driftwood. It was a doubloon first, and it turns into the driftwood for some reason.
Yeah.
Which
I kind of wish it was just the driftwood.
Yeah, so do I, because that was weird to me. But yeah, he brings it in. It's part of the original ship of Blake, which is the Elizabeth Dane. And there's a really cool moment. She takes, I don't know why she's got it with her, but she's just kind of intrigued by it, I suppose. And she takes it to work at the lighthouse where her studio is. It's a really good moment where it starts to leak water. Like the water starts to come through the wood and starts to drip down. And then the water's dripping, and then the water seeps over to the she's listened to a cassette tape of like all the advertisements for the show. And then the voice changes, and it almost becomes somewhat demonic, and it starts to say weird things. And then the driftwood just catches fire. And my favourite thing is that she freaks out. She grabs the fire extinguisher and she's hosing it down. And then when the smoke clears, it's back to normal again.
Yeah.
There's there's no damp. There's no fire. I just love it. It's such a mindfuck. And it's a perfect reason for her to then be on edge for the rest of the movie. And then a perfect reason as to why she would believe that there is something weird going on in the fog without seeing anything.
Yeah.
She knows that something's wrong.
Yeah, she knows something is
tell
wrong.
There's something wrong. It's good. I think it's a really effective little ghost movie. I mean, it's not long. It's only about 90 minutes. There is a lull. I admit there's a lull halfway through the movie.
Yeah.
But I forgive it because we are meeting all these characters we're going to be spending the rest of the movie with.
Well,
it's just a shame there wasn't another way to do it.
Speaking of all these characters, Jamie Lee Curtis didn't need to be in the movie.
No, she didn't.
Like, not even at all. Like, the same effect could have happened. Like, the only thing she contributes to the plot, indirectly, is existing in the same room with Nick's corpse. So when Nick gets up off the morgue and, like, walks over to her with, like, a scalpel.
Oh, that's great.
And she screams, that gave the guys a reason to come back and see that Nick's corpse move for whatever reason. But even that scene doesn't technically go anywhere. It was just sort of like if they had cut that out. Because Nick was already dead. And under a mysterious means.
You mean Dick, not Nick.
His name is Dick?
Dick. Yeah, he's a Dick.
Nick
No.
Dick.
His name is Dick. It's Dick Baxter.
Dick Baxter. Yes. He gets his eyes gouged out, which is like...
Oh.
violent as shit.
Well, that guy.
Yeah, Nick's Tom Atkinson. That guy.
That guy then. The one who had his eyes gouged out, which that is a great way to kill somebody, by the way. Just the whole like if you're gonna be like all hate filled or whatever, that's the perfect way to do it.
Really nasty.
But yeah, so she existed in the room with Mr. Corpse, and Mr. Corpse got up and like spooked her and then fell over. Like if it had gotten to the point where like she died from that, like she was stabbed or whatever, I'd be like, oh, okay, cool. It sets like a standard of who they choose their victims. Is it doesn't really matter. They'll kill a drifter. They'll kill anyone in the town. You know, I'd be all right with that.
Yeah, I suppose.
But instead, she just screamed and brought the Mr. and Mrs. Other Guy, Mr. and Mr. Other Guy into the room, and then they just sort of like stared for nothing. It's like, okay, now what? You know, it sort of falls flat there.
That's a good point. She doesn't, because Nick does everything really.
Right.
So he's the one he would have been going to these places anyway. I suppose the only thing you can say is that because in the first night one of them knocks on his door, and because they're only active between 12 and 1, 12 a.m. and 1 a.m.
Really
because that's when they were killed.
Ghosties.
And I suppose you can say the only reason he doesn't die then is because when they initially knock, he's distracted by her.
Right.
He's in bed with her.
Yeah.
I suppose it's the only thing she contributes. She does have a funny line though, because obviously she's a hitchhiker going to Vancouver. She does have a really funny line when they go on the boat that was attacked the previous night. And there's like a full scare where the locker opens and she gets spooked, and it did get a laugh out of me when she turns around to Nick and just says, "I think I'm going to go to Vancouver now."
Yeah.
She says it in such a deadpan, pissed off manner, like, "I think I'm going to go now." And then there is a jump scare. But yeah, I will say the other thing I really liked is when they only find one body of poor old Dick who had his eyes gouged out, and the doctor is so confused because he has all the symptoms, like his body is so soaked and he's got like stuff on his fingernails and salt water in his mouth and all that he should have been underwater for like a month.
Yeah.
I love that. It's like that's so creepy and strange.
The seawater thing happened again as well, didn't it? In a place where I don't think seawater should be. Because I remember them going, you know, like, it's seawater, but, you know, we're like, was that on the boat or was that somewhere else?
There's seawater. There's like seawater in the can of Budweiser.
Yeah.
That was it, yeah.
He's like, that's weird. Because he's going down there. He's like, well, there's like, because then there's stuff like rusted to the wall, and he's like, but this is all like water damage, but there's no water in here.
Yeah.
And I checked this like 2 days ago. Like, he said like checked it like 2 or 3 days ago. That's weird. I loved I would have liked a bit more of that, I think.
Right, like
just their very presence.
Because like that's when I was still watching the movie, like up to the point where Jamie Lee Curtis gets spooked by Mr. Corpse, and like I was like, okay, cool, and then it starts to lull again when it's like now they're passing time between the first attack to the next attack by showing the counselor lady setting up for the candlelight vigil, and that leads into like Father Malone being like, we're celebrating murderers, so I mean it makes sense, it still works, but I think they spent too much time with the counselor lady. But I mean, it's also like you said, it's a short movie. It's like 90 minutes, so it's like,
it's really
you can't really cut a scene out. But they could have replaced any of Jamie Lee Curtis's scenes with something spookier or something more interesting. The counselor lady was something more interesting. You know, I don't know. I was just like, kill him already.
I mean, I do. I like her. I really like her as an actress. But yeah, her, now you mention it, her character. I don't know if her character really does do anything that's really impacts on the plot. I mean, the one who does is DJ Stevie Wayne, because she's like, I've got to stay up here and just like report on everything that's happening.
Also, Lighthouse.
Like, near fatal experience.
Lighthouse is awesome. Like, fuck yeah, I'd buy a Lighthouse.
I will say they got me right at the end, and I thought she was going to die. There's that great moment. She's being stalked by one of them. And she climbs up to the very top. And she's holding on, and then one of them just like rises up behind her. I was like, that's fucking great.
Yeah,
great.
that is pretty cool.
Great shot, because you're like her. You're waiting for it to come up on the ladder, because one hand comes up in the sickle, or fisher, what the fuck it is, and then suddenly, so you're waiting, she's waiting, and then it just like out the darkness behind her just rises up. Fucking great, I loved it.
Yeah,
I was convinced I was like, she's fucked.
Yeah, she's number
she kind of
6.
lucked out.
And I was thinking this movie had some balls for killing the mom, who didn't really need it, didn't really deserve it. Like, again, I think she was an outsider who moved to Antonio Bay and bought the Lighthouse and started the radio show and that kind of thing. If we're following ghost story rules, like these guys would kill the descendants of the people who murdered them, which is why Father Malone was a target, one of the targets. I don't know anything about the other three guys or the fourth guy. You know what I'm saying? Like
maybe because they were sailors, like they followed in their kind of like family's profession or whatever. Maybe they were descendants.
Maybe they were. Like, see, that's the kind of thing that they could have spent some time fleshing out in the movie instead of like following the counselor around with Sandy being like bored as fuck all the time. You know, her assistant just being like, whatever you say.
Yes, ma'am.
I wish I was really smoking right now.
I really liked the interactions between those two as well. I think was it she says when they arrive in for the first time at the church, and she says, "I don't think I know anyone that can make 'Yes, Mrs. Williams' sound like 'Fuck you, Mrs. Williams' or something like that."
Yeah, and then she
was like, "These two are great."
Yeah, that was kind of fun. It was kind of fun. I mean, you don't see that kind of dynamic too often, where it's like even though she's saying "Screw you, Miss Counselor Lady," they still work together, and she still like helps each other. Like she still does her job as an assistant. You know, and it's kind of nice instead of like them like battling each other, whatever I'm trying to say. But yeah, so it's like with Jamie Lee Curtis's character not really making much of a contribution, Andy not making much of a contribution, we wouldn't even need Mrs. What's-Her-Head, Mrs. Crosish or whatever her name was, the old lady, because then she wouldn't have had to die, which was like the saddest part of the movie. It's like she didn't need to go out like that. She's just a sweet old lady. Why would they knock on her door? Are there no other doors in Antonio Bay but hers? What the fuck?
It's like, come on, man. She's an old lady. She like drags her out. It's the fact that they drag her out, and then you can just see them like all three of them like wailing on her.
Yeah, they just descend upon her with knives. Like, oh god, what a way to go.
I'm like, Jesus Christ, man, you don't need to do that.
Yeah, and then they're going to go for Andy after that. So it's like, oh no, they're going to kill the kid? I mean...
It's like, Jesus.
Yeah, like that's the thing about...
Six are going to die.
That's the thing about horror movies. Like, I mean, subversion of tropes is getting annoying nowadays because people will just do that just to do it, like the newest Star Wars movie. But
it feels painfully self-aware when they do that.
Yes, it does. So I was thinking, but this is 1985, and I was like, man, this movie's going to be hardcore if they kill the kid. That would kind of save the movie, but you know, it's also terrible because you don't want to watch a kid die. But at the same time, it's like, if they're gonna do that though, watch this movie, they kill a kid in it will become the reason to watch the movie almost.
I'm trying to think of I'm pretty sure there's a movie where there's something like that and a child dies. I can't remember what it is. It's quite dark.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah, it really would be, because I think it's like their parent comes back or something and kills them. But
I will say I do really like the fact that this is a movie about ostensibly a kind of like a curse, cursed ghosts coming back for revenge. Like in most of the revenge kind of ghosty things we see, that those ghosts don't draw a line at just certain people. Like they will go, okay, I'll just kill everyone because I'm so upset, Samara in the Ring or whatever. So I really like that they're kind of oddly specific, and they consistently remind the living people of like this tally.
Yeah.
And it's not a high tally.
I mean, shall we talk about the very end?
Yeah.
I really liked the very end because as soon as it cuts back, because obviously the priest, Father Malone, he's like, "Hey, Blake, I've got your gold here. It's heavy as shit."
Yeah.
And it all starts to glow, and it looks like Father Malone's going to like catch fire or something. So Nick just literally seizes him and grabs him away, and Blake disappears with the gold cross. And you're like, "Oh, cool, that's what he wanted. It's great." And then, as soon as a horror movie or anything like that cuts back to a character on their own,
right,
pondering out loud, why did they take me? Like, oh dear. And then the fog comes back in. I love that shot where because he looks at the row of seats first, and it's just dark and creepy anyway.
Yeah.
He looks away. And he looks back again, and they're just all back there again. And you're like, hey, where's Blake? Camera turns around, Blake's standing behind him, eyes glowing, and then it cuts just as he's about to make connection with his neck.
Yeah.
As he swings his sword. I love that. I was like, there you go. They got all 6.
Yeah.
You don't need to see him kill him, because I think we know.
Like, that was like one of the better parts, because you figure the gold was enough, like the pact is sealed or something, and it's like, oh, cool. I mean, I appreciate that kind of an ending, but then it's like, they're going to take number 6 too. I mean, they got the power to do it. Fuck it.
Yeah, it's like,
I'm not intentionally trying to tie everything back to the Ring, but they do the same thing in the Ring. So, kind of like we've worked out what the curse is about, and we've done what we think we need to do to kind of lay it to rest and solve everything. And it's like, nope.
Yeah.
I like it because I feel so bad because Father Malone's the one that really is the one that shows remorse for the previous actions. I feel so bad for
really
him.
bad for him.
Yeah, because he's the one who's like, we have to write this, and we can't celebrate this. It's wrong.
Without getting too much into the woes of it, the sins of the father is basically it's not fair.
Thanks, Grandad.
It's just not fair.
Because I mean, he feels directly responsible because it's not even. That's the thing. Like, it's not even like, oh, one of my ancestors did this. It's my grandfather did this.
Yeah.
Someone who I would have known in my life did this.
Yeah.
It's like, ooh.
Do you know what I wonder? Because wasn't the gold cross like initially kind of like hidden and they find it?
Yeah.
It was in the walls, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, why? Were they driven? Was he driven mad? Basically, that was it, wasn't he? Because he read the diary. He was kind of driven mad by his own guilt.
Malone. Well, he doesn't put the cross in there. They realise the cross is in there.
Oh.
Yeah, in the diary
like,
it mentions that the gold is like in the walls or something like that.
Yeah, the gold is in the walls of the church, or something like that. The riches. And
so I was going to say, if you go to all that effort to make a golden cross out of gold that you killed people over,
maybe
seems a
guilt.
bit. Yeah, seems a bit weird to hide it.
Maybe he felt like, and rightly so, felt he couldn't pray in front of God in front of a gold cross that was made from the money he stole from a leper.
Yeah, it's kind of convenient that he kind of like. It's kind of convenient he died like a natural death and left all this shit for his grandson to go
it's
through.
Like, cheers, Granddad.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can see why people wouldn't like it because it is slow. But I really enjoyed it. It's not my favourite John Carpenter movie, but I think it's the first one we've watched on the podcast. That's for sure. Obviously, It Follows is heavily inspired by John Carpenter,
right.
but I'd definitely like for us to watch more of Carpenter's work because there's some just as any excuse just to watch The Thing or
Escape from
Prince
LA.
of Darkness or
Escape from LA. I'll watch that
podcast. Or we could watch it because of how horrifying the CGI is, but
Well, yeah, but it was like early '90s. What do you expect?
Yeah, it was.
But you have Bruce Campbell
or
as
even
a plastic surgeon. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, for like 5 minutes, it's weird.
Yeah.
Well, I've not seen it, so I have a question to ask about it because obviously, Metal Gear Solid is heavily inspired by Escape from New York. Aside from just the character name, is also the fact that he's got a thing in him that will kill him if he doesn't do the mission. And, all that kind of thing.
Sure.
So, how much of Escape from LA is kind of is it? Will I still get like an MGS vibe when I watch it, or is it nothing like that?
Well, it's like the same movie, plot for plot. Escape from LA. I mean, Escape from New York
But
to
is
Escape
it
from
just
LA.
everything is kind of like turned up to 11?
Yeah,
of, like...
it's a bit more fun to watch, in my opinion. Like still, you still have Snake. He still goes by, I think his name is Pliskin at some point.
It's Snake Plissken.
Yeah, Snake Plissken. He still has like a bomb or a flu or something that'll kill him if he doesn't achieve the objective. He still has to go underwater. I think didn't he go underwater too? I think he actually has like an underwater submersible thing. So it's just like the entrance to Shadow Moses. And then,
yeah, that's true.
And then
I think the way I look at LA is that it's almost like John Carpenter's like, cool, this is the movie I would have made if I had a budget, back in the day.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
So
it sounds fun. I do want to see it.
Yeah, check it out.
Yeah,
I mean, if you trust me on Conan, you can
definitely
trust me on Escape from LA. It's like the same kind of fun.
Yeah, watch them both. Why not?
Cool.
But yeah, I'd love for us to watch more of Carpenter's work at some point. Even In the Mouth of Madness, which is probably arguably the best H.P. Lovecraftian style movie ever made.
Cool.
It's not based on a specific Lovecraft story, but it's very heavily inspired by Lovecraft's works.
Is that the one
it's
with
of the best
Sam
ones.
Neill in it?
Yes.
I've
Sold.
not seen it, but I've seen lots of clips
Sold.
and GIFs.
Love
I like Sam Neill.
Love Sam Neill.
So yeah,
He's
Lovecraft, Sam Neill.
Yeah,
This Carpenter guy's all right. I love The Thing. I do. I think that's a really great movie. I don't even that was before I even started caring about horror movies. Like I didn't even watch them, but a friend of mine was like, "You've got to watch this. Or we're gonna watch this tonight. You want to watch it?" I'm like, "Sure, whatever." And I enjoyed the shit out of myself. That was a great. Well-paced, awesome movie. So yeah, I'm okay with more of Carpenter's work too. It's just this one feels like he just did it. Like meh. Like, not a whole lot of oomph
That's
to
fair
it.
enough.
You know, it's very slow.
No, not every movie is going to be a hitter, is it? That's the thing. I mean, he's got a good extensive library, really. So.
No, Matt, every movie has to be a hit. Every one of them.
Everyone.
All of them. The minute you slack off, you die. No, I'm just messing around.
That is when you lose the movie.
Yeah.
It could be worse. You could have watched the remake, which I have good authority on. Is absolutely terrible. Apparently.
Honestly, if I had
I've
2
not
more
heard-
hours than this morning, I'd have been like, yeah, fuck it, I'll watch the remake, see if that's any better.
I've never heard a single good thing about it from anyone.
Awesome.
Everyone's just said it's terrible. They're like, it's so bad. It's so bad.
So
I'm
next
like,
podcast
shit.
then.
But yeah, so I'm rambling. But yeah, that was the Fog. I liked it.
Yeah.
It's John Carpenter, and I love old John Carpenter. And I'll watch more of his movies now.
If we touch, because I know that you submitted in the Facebook chat a kind of a question, and it's obviously inspired by this movie. So
Shit, yes.
let's touch on that quickly so it
It'll have
doesn't
to
get
be very
forgotten.
quick, as I am unfortunately running out of time. But yes, I was trying to think of a question. But I was just thinking, how important is the environment in terms of creating an effective horror story or an effective horror atmosphere? Because obviously you don't always have to have very spooky scenery or environments, but just how important can they be, do you think? The two of you, how important do you think they can be?
It's interesting you should say it that way, because the first thing I thought when I read that question was I didn't think so much about environment as location. So I was thinking kind of the way that this is set in one town, and like we were talking about earlier, nowadays it would kind of have all this other kind of expository shit being shown to us, and that might well occur outside of the town. I really like that it is enclosed, and I think horror movies in general kind of work well when you are enclosed, because obviously if you can run away, especially if you can run away to somewhere where it's daytime or it's sunny or anything like that, or cut somewhere else, it just feels kind of like it will take you out of the environment that the movie's trying to craft. It's very, I'm kind of a fan of just establishing a location and staying in it for most of the movie, like in general. With like we talked before about Die Hard, and kind of like that idea of going back to MGS. Actually, it's just, with Shadow Moses, it's one place and it happens, and it's, you can build an effective environment in that way, and the second you kind of move away from it, you kind of lose the atmosphere and the tension and stuff. And especially with this movie, it felt like
it becomes a character in itself almost.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I guess that's what I'm trying to say, but said much more eloquently. It kind of you ruin the sting, or the kind of like the feel of a thing when you kind of abandon it for something else.
I think we touched on it pretty well in Undying when we're talking about that. When as soon as you leave the house, everything just kind of goes to shit. So like the environment of the house in that game was fantastic and was really effective in carrying the story, even if it doesn't add anything to the story, even if it didn't tell me any more about the ghosts and all I did was just like point by point kill all the ghosts one by one and get to the end. It's still more effective to have it in the house than if I were to step out into like the rolling hills of wherever the fuck we were, and just kill things that don't even make any sense. It's just like, well, now the entire effect has been destroyed by adding a new element. That's what I was just trying to say.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we should have hit that discussion question a lot earlier.
Yeah,
that's my fault. I should have.
Yeah.
I should have put him, but I that's what happens when it gets to John
When
Carpenter.
you get excited,
talk about John
you're like,
Carpenter.
yes, Carpenter.
Oh, it's John Carpenter. I love the man.
Yeah.
I love his massive, shaggy, white hair.
Yeah, sometimes when you talk about John
moustache.
Carpenter, you forget the point.
I was gonna say, I've not been counting, but 6 puns must happen. And I think we're almost there.
Wait, I just thought of another one. Would Big Trouble in Little China and They Live fall under the horror category? Maybe there's...
I would do them on this cast.
Yeah.
Especially They Live, more so than maybe Big Trouble in... But even then, I would probably just say fuck it.
There's a giant monster in Big Trouble in Little China. That's horrific.
Yeah. There's all kinds of horrific shit in that.
And
one that I specifically remember, and I'm not trying to spoil the movie entirely, but like, let's say when the cat's out of the bag and there's somebody who is in an intimate relation with one of the bad guys, that scene was like, whoa, you mean you were having sex with a monster this whole time? Anyway, that was horrific. I was like, ah! So, yeah.
I will also say, for those of you that are interested, in Big Trouble in Little China, if that movie didn't exist, we probably wouldn't have the character of Raiden in Mortal Kombat.
Or Duke Nukem.
Yeah.
I'm here to kick ass and chew bubble gum.
Well.
Yeah.
That's They Live, isn't it? Yeah, those two movies are...
Yeah, they like when I watched like some of They Live on Comedy Central, the Comedy Channel. They like some of the things he was saying, I was like, Duke Nukem said that, and he said that too.
I'm like, wait a minute,
and he said that too. Huh?
Wait, Duke's been deceiving me all these years.
Duke is not the originator of the wit. Oh,
you're a fraud, Duke. You're a fraud.
Fraud.
I'm glad your games failed.
Yeah. You don't deserve a career.
Glad Forever was terrible.
Yeah, from what I hear.
You ripped off Roddy Piper. But anyway, yes.
Wait, shit. That's also a line. Balls of steel.
Balls of steel.
Oh, my mind's unraveling so soon.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
yeah, so
let's get on to what I'm going to be picking for next time.
Yes, so your choice.
Yeah, so I've mapped out like 6 choices.
Oh God.
So in terms of what I'm picking for the podcast, until I think like June or July, I've got choices. So
all the choices.
it's kind of I was gunning for one, but I've actually kind of like changed my mind, and I want to do something else for next week. So
I see.
I watched a movie before called John Dies at the End. That is technically a spoiler, but
not if you have more than one John.
Is that the one directed by Don Coscarelli?
It may be,
because he directed the Phantasm movies, which are like I very much like them.
Well, John Dies at the End is written by a guy called, I think is David Wong or something like that is his name. And let me just get the page up so I don't sound like an idiot. Anyway, he's kind of known for writing very postmodern, kind of very irreverent and kind of like funny and weird kind of books, basically.
Okay, yeah.
And John Dies at the End very much falls into that. I mean, from the title alone, you can kind of get that sense from it. Yes, David Wong is his name. And
Sorry.
Yeah.
There's a sequel to the original book called "This Book is Full of Spiders."
Yes, yeah. And again, that kind of gives you a sense of what it's like. So John Dies at the End, it is technically a horror film, but it's also it's just kind of like a weird science fiction, like fantasy horror film. It's got Paul Giamatti in it, who plays...
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he fucking acts his socks off in that film. And it's really weird because I don't think that this was ever kind of like a big leagues thing. This thing was made, and it's kind of like... It's not the most brilliant film looking ever, and it doesn't necessarily... I don't think it had a lot of money or power behind it. So to have him kind of in it and really taking it seriously... let's take a look at this. Budget less than $1 million, and box office it made $141,000. So yeah, whoops.
Jesus.
I will say it's very kind of, it is weird, and I think that would turn a lot of people off. I found it interesting and kind of like kind of quirky. It does at the end, like the best way I can describe it is it does kind of devolve into kind of like a Doctor Who episode at the end.
Okay.
It becomes a bit more kind of like if the beginning of the movie was grounded in reality, the latter half is definitely not. But my wife tells me the book is very good. I didn't read it, but I watched the film and I got it fine. So that's my choice for next time. John Dies at the End.
Spoilers.
Really funny.
Yeah, I can't really tell you anything about it, kind of story wise. Because it's not that kind of movie, and you'll see that.
You have to experience
kind of
it.
very
Yeah, it's one of those. Yeah, I get what you mean. It's like you can't really explain. You just have to watch it.
Yeah. Essentially, it's a bit kind of like comedy, a bit kind of fantasy, a bit horror, all of these things, and essentially it revolves around these kind of friends, and one of them kind of dies but doesn't, and comes back and talks to him, and kind of, you know, the universe kind of spirals out from there.
Yeah.
Basically.
So it's basically insane.
Yeah.
I was just thinking.
I thought it would be interesting.
I was just thinking that it'd be kind of interesting if they did a movie like this, but like all the major characters were named John.
That would be amazing.
So either all of them die,
which one dies?
or which one
It
dies?
reminds me of that.
Oh.
It reminds me of that vault in Fallout 3. You know, the Gary vault.
Yeah.
Oh my god, yes.
All of them just run at you, going Gary, Gary, Gary.
Gary. It's like being in John Malkovich's mind.
Oh man,
Yeah.
that's another crazy
Malkovich,
movie too.
Malkovich.
That might actually fall
It's
in line
insane.
too. I mean, with our podcast,
Yeah.
it's an insane movie.
I think it would, because
Absolutely out of
it's
its mind.
quirky and weird enough. And also, I was watching an interview with the guy who, what's his name? Is it Jordan Peele?
Yeah.
I can't remember. Yeah, who directed Get Out, and he's
Yes,
a sort of famous
still to watch
comedian.
that.
Yeah,
still
Get
to watch
Out
that.
is great. It's one of my choices, so hold off. Or
okay.
if you don't feel like, you know, it might be fresher if you watch it closer to the time when I pick it. But essentially, he was talking about the movie, and his favorite kind of fan theory is that it's a sequel to Being John Malkovich.
Yeah.
What, Get Out?
And it does kind of work.
It does kind of work, I'm sure, from what I hear.
Yeah.
Okay, I really need to watch this now. So.
And he's
No more.
literally kind of like, I think a bit tongue in cheek, but he's approved it kind of like as a, yes, this is actually true.
Nice. So.
Awesome. Okay, cool.
Okay, so yeah, until next time, we all have YouTube channels. The links are below as always. I don't think any of us have actually done anything recently, so there's no
I'm
point
working
kind of
on
like
something.
plugging it in depth at the moment. It's January. What do you want from us?
Yeah. Fuck
Yeah,
you, it's
fuck you, it's
January.
January.
God damn it. Fuck you, it's January.
I am working on something at the moment that I want to get out. It's basically going to be a video consisting of me bitching about The Walking Dead.
Oh boy,
good.
can't
Yes,
wait.
'cause, that's coming back. When does that come out? Is it February?
I think it might be, so I want to get it out before.
Let's just take a look. Because I think someone said
I better
something
speed
about
up.
Valentine's Day.
Oh fuck, I better speed up.
Yeah.
I better get this shit out this week. Yeah, so, I mean, I don't know. I might put it all together and then realise it's not very good and just leave it on the cutting room floor. But I'm hoping to get it out soon. Because I think there's some stuff in there I think is quite funny. I talk about how much I really love the trash people.
Oh, you've got till the 25th. February the 25th is when it comes back.
I've got a month. Let's work on it, Matt. Let's do it.
Yes.
Slap
2
yourself.
I look
months
forward to
later,
it because,
I finished it.
The bitching is real. I this season especially has just been so kind of subpar.
I think one of them, if I may directly quote it, one of them might be "fuck Eugene." It's one of them. I say that. Many of them, but yes. So I'm currently working on that. So hopefully it'll be out soon.
Excellent.
Cool.
Okay.
Well, until next time.
And I've
then.
always got stuff I'm working on, and you guys will never see it. So, yeah.
So
Until next time.
Yep.
Stay beautiful, stay damned, and
Stay out
spoilers.
the
John
fog.
dies at the end.
Oh no way!
No, it's voted for me.
This episode of Spoilers of the Damned was hosted by Axton10_61, Madcus Finch, and Garlips. To find out about us, as well as join the discussion on our Discord, check out all the links in the description below. Please feel free to leave a review or rate us on your podcast app of choice.